Yeah, man! Serious times down in Johannesburg. Watch the fire now. Listen! The horns! Oh, yeah. The stage was set, the lights were low for the big G20 show. Leaders coming from across the sea to talk about the world economy. Johannesburg was dressed to impress, ready to clean up the global mess. But before the first gavel could sound, a different kind of noise started going around. Now everybody talking about Cyril's big blunder. He lighting the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. The Kineon see politicians step up to the mic, spewing out words that nobody like. They open their mouths and the fire jump out, insulting America, scream and shout. They're telling tall tales, they're telling the lies, right there under the African skies. And the media catch it, they run with the ball, they amplify the noise until the whole thing follow. Talking about Cyril's big blunder, he lighting the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. Yeah. Watch the house of cards, they're tumbling on. Yeah, blow it down, what a mess. I look at the president sitting up high, I see that little twinkle in his eye. He cracking that smile, that devious grin, while the diplomatic ice is getting very thin. You think the eagle gonna take that heat? Nah, sir, they won't take a seat. No Uncle Sam at your Josie party. You chase them away, you're acting too hearty. It's Cyril's big blunder, he lighting the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. Yeah, they staying away America, now come to Johannesburg today. You set the house on fire, man, what kind of plan? Cyril, wipe that smile off your face. It's a disgrace. No, sir. No, sir.
Taking place. Some Palestinians are being charged up to $2,000.
I'm not going to South Africa for the G20 because I think their policies on the extermination of people are unacceptable. So I'm not going. So I won't refer to anything having to do with South Africa. South Africa has behaved extremely badly. But
to pursue the agenda of white supremacy.
You think Trump is pursuing a white supremacist agenda?
Yes, I think so.
Sunrise over DC, coffee in my hand. Saw the headlines from a faraway land. South Africa's politicos
running their mouth again about America and me. Where does it all end? Near about a whole year of the same old tune.
Name calling in tall tales beneath the African moon. More trash in the USA, I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare. Pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. for Afrikaners and minorities. Nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough.
Patience wearing thin.
Gonna tell the world the truth. Where do I begin?
They talk about freedom and justice for all, while their own people are answering a different call.
Farmers on their homesteads,
Living in fear and dread.
minority voices, silenced words left unsaid.
Promises like tumbleweeds blowing in the breeze, while their leaders keep on preaching,
Bringing us to our knees. Oh, it's more trash in the USA. I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare. Pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough.
patience wearing thin.
Gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin?
I tried to stay quiet,
Let it roll right on by.
but a man can only take so much beneath God's sky. That's the honest truth.
When you see folks suffering, it just ain't right.
Gonna set the record straight with all of my might. Oh, it's more trash in the USA. I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare. Pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough.
Patience wearing thin.
Gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin?
Yeah, more trash in the USA.
But the truth will find its way.
Pretoria, listen up to what I gotta say. God bless America, come what may.
Come what may.
Well, more trash in the USA, folks. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're at. Trash in the USA, folks. There we go. Checking the sound. Excuse me. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. It's Chris live in Central Pennsylvania on a Sunday night, December 7th. December 7th. I did promise folks I would read to them the short article that I wrote earlier about the December 7th Pearl Harbor. So I'll do that before we get into anything. Let me do that right now. Just get to that. Okay, that's not right. Okay, where's it at? Maybe it's here. Oh, I know I haven't saved it because I saved it earlier. Just don't seem to be seeing it here. There it is, Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. All right, so I'll read that to you. So this is what I wrote and I read earlier at the Veterans Organization. So welcome this evening for those who are here. Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. Today, the flag at our VFW post is flying at half-staff in recognition of Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. December 7th, 1941 is a date which President Franklin Roosevelt declared will live in infamy. when on a Sunday morning, the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service attacked the neutral United States at Naval Station Pearl Harbor near Honolulu, Hawaii, killing 2,403 Americans and injuring Excuse me? What the hell is this? Stop interrupting my program, attention seeker. Very rude and disrespectful, whoever that was. Your feelings hurt? Get over yourself. Get over yourself. Did you commit fraud? If you didn't, then just stop whining and stop interrupting my program. Wow. The cheek of some people. The unprovoked attack, killing 2,403 Americans and injuring 1,178 others. The unprovoked attack on American soil finally drew the United States into a global conflagration that had begun more than 2 years earlier when Germany invaded Poland in September 1939. The Japanese had hoped to destroy American aircraft carriers in port, thereby crippling our Pacific Fleet, so that Imperial Japan could continue its war of expansion across Asia unimpeded. While the carriers USS Enterprise, USS Lexington, and USS Saratoga were fortuitously at sea that day, the Japanese nonetheless struck a heavy blow on unsuspecting American forces. The attack sank 4 U.S. Navy battleships and damaged 4 others. It also damaged 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and 1 mine layer. Aircraft losses on the day were 188 destroyed, 159 damaged. Despite the grievous losses, within months the Pacific Fleet was taking the war to the Japanese as workers rapidly repaired ships not sunk that day, and more ships quickly came into service. Pearl Harbor was the high water mark for Imperial Japan. In drawing America into the conflict, the Japanese ultimately assured their own catastrophic defeat. The resources, the will, and conviction of Americans would turn the tide. Yet the pain amid loss of 2,403 Americans on that Sunday 84 years ago today remains with us to this day. Testing America is seldom a winning option. Are you listening, ANC? Today, nearly 9 decades hence that heinous attack, only 12 Pearl Harbor survivors remain alive. None of them will be able to attend this year's ceremonies at Pearl Harbor. Let us not forget their sacrifice and the loss survivors felt, nor the 417,000 Americans who died during World War II, or the 670,000 wounded in service to their nation as a result of the Second World War. And that was my statement. Okay, what is this nonsense here? This person interrupting my program here, very rude and disrespectful. What is this? Oh my word, you mentioned my name yesterday when you talk about me, about the 2 fraudsters. I'm also Martin Fundamental. Definitely not me. I'm a very good boy. Well, number one, putting all caps is not accepted on the program. You're obviously not a viewer. You would have known that. That's very rude, attention-seeking, and you see exactly what it did. It sought attention. It got my attention. Very disrespectful on such a solemn date when I'm trying to recognize, remember, and honor those who died that day, 2,403 Americans at the hands of Japanese. Very, very much attention-seeking. There was no need for that. You welcome in my chat if you write in lowercase. And I didn't say Martin Fundamova. I just said Fundamova. There are thousands of Fundamovas in South Africa, tens of thousands. So I really don't know what you're on about and what you're getting up about. You're not a good boy if you're going to be rude and disrupt me when I'm trying to pay honor and homage to people who died. It's very disrespectful, very attention-seeking. So, I mean, I don't know who you are, and I don't buy your story for a second unless you want to apologize for being so rude and disruptive. That was very rude. Faithful Farmer says, rest in peace to those service members and salute to all our few remaining World War II veterans. My great uncle served in World War II in the Army and won a Silver Star fighting in Europe. That's amazing, Faithful Farmer. Yeah, my grandfather fought in Normandy and in Germany on the Western Front in the Second World War. Yeah. My other grandfather was a Merle's Marauder, and he served in Burma and fought the Japanese. 99% casualty rate for that unit, Merle's Marauders. And he was one of the few that was never casualty, never ill, never wounded or killed during the conflict. He was a bookbinder in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Very good man, Robert Fox Nicholson. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Mr. Fundmer, if you're still here, you're welcome to rejoin the conversation. Just don't use all caps. I don't understand what you're on about there. That was very inconsiderate. Wow, I see how people just hijack this stuff. It reminds me of earlier today when I did the brief Kaffeeklatsch, and some people's feelings were hurt. And I'm like, seriously? Feelings are hurt? I didn't call anyone out by name. Gosh, people really, 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 really need some backbone here. Grateful to all the American veterans, hence our flag. What a blessing to be here. Thank you for your service. Well, thank you, Will. How's it going? Bill, more Christmas up in the background. Happy Sunday. Yeah, I put some more Christmas. And my tree, actually, you can see the lights are on, but it's not looking very good. Hang on. There you go. See, there's actually lights back there. My Christmas tree's got lights, but you can't see them very well. Yeah, so the tree is lit up. It was lit better, but I had put some wrapping around it so you could see it during the daytime. Okay. Yeah, look. So, yeah, it is pretty cool, huh? Little tiny one. All right. What else am I missing here? I need DJ Silver in the house. Cheer me up, says Karen. 2009, invited to my beau of 7 years' parents' home for my birthday dinner, only to find his mom set me up, floozy kissing, cuddling him, bittersweet day. Oh, wow. That was pretty lame. Sorry to hear that. Wow. Must have been an evil woman. Good evening, Karen. How's it going? Angelique. Is Mr. Funderweber still here? He's not commenting anymore. I just felt the need to get that out there. Am I the only one that saw that chat? You all missed that? Funny how I'm the only one to notice that. Okay. It's going well. Okay, how can it not? Yeah, you're in great company. Well, I'm okay. Yeah, little personal issue earlier, but I think it's taken care of. Other FIFA members planning on booting FIFA president after his Peace Prize stunt. Well, I'll tell you what, not a good move. These countries that vote to remove the guy because he gave an award to Donald Trump are going to find themselves. By the way, how was the award done? Did he do it himself, or was it a committee that did it? You know, we don't know the answer on that. So go ahead. I dare these countries to do that. These people will keep messing with the bull. They're going to get the horn. Trump has been very patient with people. So much going on in the world, and that boat strike still made an article on CNN. Yeah, well, that's not even the main strike. There was a coup attempt in Africa overnight, and there's much more to talk about. Heartfelt sympathy, appreciating all the brave people who lost lives. My son's biggest dream is to see a real Marine or veteran. At 14, he wants to help with emotional well-healing. Well, that's nice of him. Yes, Xavier Grayling and the Blitzbach have defended their Cape Town Sevens title back-to-back in dramatic fashion, beating the Pumas 21-19 lead, trailing 19-7, I think it was, or 19-0. They came back and won that game in dramatic fashion. Both scored 3 tries, but a conversion was the difference. What an incredible feat. Blitzbach and some of the usual names. Okay. Martin Funderweber says, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Funderweber. Yeah, that's why I didn't understand what you're doing there. All caps are reserved for Hendo. It's because it's well, I'm sorry, my moderator is not to hurt your feelings, but he's my main moderator. He's been there since the outset, and we allow him to use all caps. All caps are, look, I'm an old school guy on the internet since the 80s. I've been on the internet since the 80s. And so back in the day in bullet board, stuff like that, all caps was considered very impolite and rude. It's all very attention seeking, and because it draws your attention over. So I get it. Yeah, I wasn't besmirching you. I think maybe you meant it as a joke. Maybe I took it wrong. You meant it as a joke, but I was trying to talk about that situation with December 7th. So I appreciate your enthusiasm. You just kind of get messages out there. No, with the gentleman, I didn't say his name for months and months and months until after I found out that the U.S. kicked him away and told him to footsec and don't try to apply for the program. This is the guy who came to Centurion and glommed onto my meet and greet, only to ask for a selfie along with him and his fellow huckster there. And I got a photo. Then he used the photograph to try to besmirch me. It was used by the media to make stories. And, you know, these people just make stuff up in South Africa, and media outlets in South Africa use that as if it's news. It's like this nonsense where the guy claimed that 52 refugees came over and 37 of them are unemployed or something like that. And like, where are you getting your data from? I don't know anyone other than State Department's in contact with all those people. There's no one. It's impossible. I can tell you right there, we've got one refugee right there in the chat, and I know for certain that of 2 adults in his family, 2 adults are working. In addition, the 2 adults are working, an adult child, offspring, dependent is in university. So, and utter nonsense. And these people know what they're talking about. And so they take that and run a story with it. And I'm going to comment on that again. That story is up there on briefly. So this guy did the selfie with me, came there, and then, he's the guy who was defrauding people out of money, claiming he could put them on a list. That's why I was sensitive about it, Mr. Fundermev, plus, the fact that it was done during the tribute to the Pearl Harbor. So this guy came there, and then he lied to these people, and I warned people from the 7th of February, before anyone cheated anybody anything. I said, look, guys, there will be hucksters, there will be scammers, there will be flim-flam men, there will be people who try to take your money from you. This program costs you nothing, other than you got to get the interviews, but you don't pay for anything. You pay for nothing. You don't pay to get on a list, you don't pay to process, you don't pay for medicals, you don't pay for anything. You don't even pay for your flight. You're going to have to repay your flight, but you don't pay for your flight. So this guy told people, and I don't know where they were going. This is one of the problems with YouTube hiding my channel. Back then, YouTube was still hiding my channel to a degree, and there were thousands of people who didn't know about the program because they didn't find my channel, even though I was the one reporting on it the most. And unfortunately, a lot of them were hoodwinked because Afrikaners, I'm sorry, some of you will believe anything you hear from other Afrikaners. It doesn't matter. I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again in a minute, but anyway, he told people, send me the money. We're going to get you on the list. We're going to get you to America first. You're going to be the first ones to go. People fell for it. Why would they fall? Why would you trust an Afrikaner about a program that President Trump just created who isn't in America, doesn't work for the U.S. government, is just some dude in South Africa, and he's going to get you on a list? People believe anything. And a lot of people, I know some of these people, they contact me after they're defrauded. That guy tried to then get into the program, he and his friend. But before that, after the 12th of May, when I was still in South Africa, after the first flight landed in the States, he did a video. He's like, I really don't know. He's sitting around, he's going, so it's okay. I'm not sure what happened, how these first people got over, but we're going to be okay. We're still good. I've assured we're still good. We're going to get over there. I just need to send more money to this address, send this money, and I'm going to get you over there. And, I went to Colonel Wyatt's meet and greet, and I don't know. I wasn't really impressed. Wow, she was invited full time. Wow, congratulations. Okay. What was America up to in its 31st year of existence? Okay, so that would be 1776. Well, we should go with 1781 because that's when we got our peace. Or 1783 is Paris of peace. We declared our independence. We actually earned it. 1783 plus 31 years. That would take us to 1814. Well, in 1814, unlike South Africa, we were under attack by a foreign power. Great Britain invaded the United States, the War of 1812, and we defended ourselves, and we defeated a foreign foe. Our country rallied together to defeat a foreign foe. We stopped the impressment of our sailors on the high seas. By this point, we had already defeated the Barbary pirates who were kidnapping people and enslaving them. So what was America up to in 31 years? Doing good for the world. We were also expanding. Ohio had become a state in 1804 already, or 1803. Yeah, so we were up to quite a bit after 31 years. We'd accomplished quite a bit after 31 years in this country. But if you're going to say, did we have slavery? Yes, and so did every country in the world except for Great Britain and Haiti at that point. Yep. But yeah. So hugs. Thank you, Leslie. Okay. Just glad they changed the format for the sevens, so it's only top 18s world. No, I don't. No, Derek, I don't buy it at all. I didn't watch it. They've ruined it. Sevens. The website looks like something a 6-year-old could design. The whole process is broken. No, and I have to pay Paramount Plus to watch it. That's just all nonsense. Whereas the rest of the world can watch it for free. I'm sorry. No, I'm not impressed. They ruined sevens. I used to go to Vegas. I've gone to Cape Town for the sevens. I've gone to London for the sevens. I was going to go to Paris, but they ruined it. So I'm not going. No, I'm sorry. I'm glad you like it that way, but I don't like it. Just 8 teams. What's the point? The whole point was a whole weekend experience. That's why you go to Hong Kong. That's why you go to Dubai. Those are the 2 popular ones in Vegas, the 3 most popular ones. It's just, they ruined it. They stopped doing it in London. They stopped doing it in Paris. They stopped doing it in Vegas, So where am I going to go to? Madeira, Spain? Malanga, Spain? No, I don't think so. Vancouver's fine. And I missed my chance there. That was when COVID started. I had booked that thing, and then the Army said they needed me here, and they changed the days after I'd already paid for hotels and flights and everything. I canceled. I got most of my stuff back, but I lost my tickets for the sevens $200 for that, and I lost my hockey tickets. One of them I lost it and didn't get to resell it. But that wasn't the point. The point is I didn't get to go to Vancouver, and so I've never gone back for the Sevens, and it's a shame. It was during the COVID scam. It would have been great to have been there. Anyway, so yeah, but no, the Sevens is ruined for me. It's not even worth watching anymore. But slavery through and the religious people drowning innocent girls, witchcraft. Nobody was drowning in witchcraft. You're very confused. AI for good for now. You're talking about Salem. That was 200 years prior. That was in the 1600s. That wasn't happening in the 1800s. That's not no. Now, the slavery thing ended in Salem. It was the same time it was happening, but slavery still. I mean, witchcraft is not slavery. Witchcraft is still going on in South Africa. I mean, the whole thing about murdering albinos, for the juju. It's crazy. Mr. Vandermeer, I hope you're still here, and I hope you didn't run off. There's no money in sustaining so many teams in sevens. Money is clearly going into growing 15s game. No, Dirk, there was tons of money in it. You're a pretty smart business guy. There was tons of money in it. Vegas was selling out. Dubai was selling out. Hong Kong was selling out, and the money was good. And they got greedy, and they ruined the sport. In fact, they tried it the first time I went to Vegas. It was the first time they tried it, men and women, the same weekend, and it was proved to be very popular. So it just they killed the golden cow. They just destroyed it. It's a shame. If you guys like just 8 in a tournament, that's great. But I find I watched the Blitzbach game, not against Argentina, but the one before that, the last one of the night on Saturday night, and I watched it live because it was noon here, and I couldn't even get into it, even though I saw some players out there that I really like. I couldn't get into it. It didn't do anything for me. And I used to broadcast the sevens and call them, but now it's just I don't know. That's me. Maybe that's just my personal problem. But for me, sevens is ruined and destroyed. Any records and titles they get now, I just consider them tarnished. Again, perhaps it's just me. But you know what? That's fine. If you guys like it that way, that's great. And I hope that they make tons of money off of it because it's a shame that the game was tarnished in the way it's been done. You need to go back to the way the website used to be run. I don't know who they hired to run that website, but they're like a 6-year-old. What Australian Canada did to Indigenous people? Well, you're going to have to explain to me what Canada did to Indigenous people. I mean, that's a fairy tale I hear all the time. And what Australia did, yeah, there were some truly evil things in Australia. People hunted people down in Australia. That's true. Now, you got to tell me where he lives. They think albino people have gold in their head. Good God. Do you know that South African University actually has a subject on South African witchcraft? Well, there are classes on witchcraft at some universities. Yeah, that's happening here in the States. Yeah, that's happened. I mean, it's a historical thing. So there's classes on history talking about witchcraft, not just in America. I mean, it was prevalent all over Europe and Africa for a long time, for centuries. Yeah, it's amazing what people thought, and what they believe in, and what people still believe in to this day. It's just crazy. Even in the face of science, mostly probably because science has been perverted by the political left, trust the science. Well, science is not solid. Science is not static. Science is not forever. If science was solid, then we would trust the science of astronomy, and Pluto would still be a planet, not a Kuiper Belt object, not a dwarf planet. To me, Pluto's still a planet. Yeah, but that's just me and half the world. Oh my goodness. Yep. So no, it's not unusual for that to happen, guys. For course to be taught. Let me hit a couple news items. So we got other stuff to go on here, and I want to read an op-ed about multiculturalism and get your thoughts on that. I have not read it. So first off, Benin says there was a coup attempt, another West Africa coup attempt, folks. Wow, I'm really doing a great job selling Africa to the world, aren't I? Coup plotters led by Colonel Tigre Pascal briefly took control of state TV, but were quickly overpowered by forces loyal to President Patrice Talon. Group of soldiers gives a statement on Benin's national television claiming to have seized power following reports of a coup attempt. The guy can't even wear his helmet properly. Look at that idiot wearing his helmet sideways. 2 of them wearing their helmets sideways. Benin's government said Sunday its armed forces had foiled a coup attempt after a group of soldiers in the West African nation claimed on national television to seize power. The attempted coup was the latest threat to democratic rule in the region, where militaries in recent years have seized power in Benin's neighbors of Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, and only last month, Guinea-Bissau. At least 8 soldiers, several holding weapons, went on state television on Sunday morning to announce that a military committee led by Colonel Tigre Pascal had taken over, was dissolving national institutions, suspending the Constitution, and closing air, land, and maritime borders. The army solemnly commits to give the Beninois people the hope of a truly new era, where fraternity, justice, and work prevail. A few hours later, Interior Minister Alassane Saidu said the West African country's armed forces had thwarted the attempt. Therefore, the government urges the population to go about their business as usual. Government spokesperson Wilfred Leandre Hugenbidji said that 14 people have been arrested in connection with the coup attempt. Foreign Minister Olusegun Ajayi Bakari had told Reuters earlier that a small group of soldiers attempted to overthrow the government, but the forces loyal to President Talon were working to restore order. Wow. There was gunfire in several neighborhoods. The French embassy said gunfire had been reported near Talon's residence in Cotonou and urged citizens to stay home. By early afternoon, police were deployed at major intersections of the city center, and gunfire had died down. Narcissa, a furniture salesman in Cotonou who only gave his first name for safety reasons, said he first heard gunshots at 8 a.m. and soon saw police officers speeding past. I got scared and brought my sofas inside and closed. It's a bit calmer now, which is why I reopened. The coup attempt came as Benin was preparing for presidential election in April that would mark the end of the tenure of incumbent Talon, who's been in power since 2016. He's been credited with reviving the economy, but the country has also seen an increase in attacks by jihadists that have wreaked havoc in Mali and Burkina Faso. Wow. There you go, folks. Another coup attempt in Africa. My goodness. My goodness. Good morning, Ronell. That looks like a bachelor party going to play paintball, not like train song. Well said, Turk Kutsia. The whole planet versus dwarf planet thing seems very arbitrary. It's a round rock, a ball of gas that orbits around. Yeah, no, exactly. If it's a round object and it has an orbit around the sun and it has its own gravity that attracts moons, it should be a planet. Yep, man, but they said it's not. I'm with you, Faithful Farmer, but I'm a Pluto lover. And Planet X is out there somewhere, so they say, so far away, hard to find it. Rudolph Skeppers, welcome to you. That lady from Sunnyside released a short video, same subject. It looks like she will continue with her. Yeah, well, she's going to... By the way, that lady from Sunnyside, I was in contact with attorneys. That's a true statement. And attorneys contacted me and told me that it's actionable should I decide to take action. So maybe that person ought to stop doing that. Yeah, I saw the poll in South Africa where 49% of youth say that they would like military rule. Have they met the South African National Defense Force? Do they know anything about them? Look, it's one thing to ask for military rule from a competent military. I mean, look, if the military overthrew the government in Rwanda, I wouldn't be happy about it, but okay, it makes sense. The military overthrowing the government in South Africa, it makes no sense at all. I mean, they can't even feed their soldiers. What are they going to do? Oh, my goodness. Yep. Nah, she's busy looking for attention. Must have had her paychecks cut off or something. Thailand has launched airstrikes against Cambodia, or Kampuchea, as the Trump peace plan hangs in the balance. Thailand launched airstrikes against Cambodia Monday as a new wave of fighting erupted between the southeastern neighbors, marking the potential collapse of a peace plan presided over by President Trump just 2 months ago. Both sides accused each other of launching strikes along their disputed border Monday morning after weeks of simmering tensions and the earlier suspension of progress on the ceasefire by Thailand. Cambodia had mobilized heavy weaponry to reposition combat units and prepared fire support elements, activities that could escalate military operations and pose a threat to the Thai border area, said the Royal Thai Air Force in a statement. Well, President Trump, you better get somebody over there and deal with this very quickly, or your little peace plan is going to fall apart. Can we do a friendly cease and desist letter? I don't know, maybe. I could ask the attorney. He could write to me privately, not here. One attorney is one viewer. All right, now I'm going to read this Washington Times op-ed. I have not read it, so I'm reading it cold. So this is it right here. How multiculturalism and open borders brought Muslim religious wars from Nigeria to America. Let's read it. That's very interesting. It got my attention. So let me find it where it's at. Here it is. Okay, I've not read this, so stick with me here. It's by Don Fader. How insensitive of Christians to celebrate their holidays publicly. They don't know that it upsets Muslims. Oh, wait. Don't they know that it upsets Muslims? In Europe, Christmas markets are again under attack. In 2024, a man who was driving while Islamic plowed into a crowd at one of Germany's largest Christmas markets in Magdeburg, killing 6 and wounding 309. This year, a number of Christian markets won't open because of increased security costs. In 2025, the tactics have changed, but not the objective. In Milan last month, a number of militants climbed onto statues waving Islamic flags and blasting noise to disrupt the local Christmas market. The police had to be called in to end the siege. In Brussels, Muslims stormed the opening night of a Christmas market, waving Palestinian flags, setting off smoke bombs, and beheading a statue of baby Jesus. How the Grinch waged jihad on Christmas. In the United States, religion of peaceniks are feeling their hummus after just electing one of their own mayor of America's largest city. At mosque in Brooklyn, prayers are blasted from loudspeakers 5 times a day, starting at 5 a.m. Some of the faithful pray in the streets, asserting their dominance in what used to be Christian America. As the Muslim presence in the United States grows, cultural imperialism spreads. Detroit Imam Imran Salah arrogantly asserts, "You Americans are ignorant. The last hope for America is in Islam. We are the leaders of the world, the masters and the teachers. We bring Sharia and the spices to the white man's unseasoned chicken." You only have to look at the wretched places they rule to see their superiority. Before you can spice and cook a chicken, you have to slit its throat and pluck its feathers. We are the chicken. The man arrested in the shootings of 2 National Guard members in the District of Columbia last month is one of 100,000 poorly vetted Afghans brought here by President Biden. Observers say that before the shootings, the man shouted Allahu Akbar, which is not Arabic for God rest ye merry gentlemen. In Minnesota, some members of the Somali community ripped off $1 billion in welfare funds. Part of the loot found its way back to Somalia to help fund the terrorist Al-Shabaab. Governor Tim Jazz Hands Waltz warns us not to stigmatize the entire community, which coincidentally has done so much to help elect left-wing Democrats such as Ilhan Omar, Minnesota Democrat, the gal from Mogadishu. Instead, let's stigmatize Christians and Jews, the only groups we're allowed to offend with impunity. The year that ended with a bang in the district started with the screech of tires in the Big Easy. In New Orleans, on New Year's Day, Muslim convert Samsud Din Jabbar drove his pickup truck into a crowd, killing 14 and injuring 52. Longtime conservative activist Gary Bauer says the National Guard shootings, Judeo-Christian civilization is based on the Bible. The assassin came from a civilization built on the Quran. You can see the difference with your own eyes. We cannot keep bringing in people from Islamist cultures and expect a good outcome. Charlie Kirk agreed, once observing that Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. One leader who is standing firm against this American jihad is Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who just designated the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council on American Islamic Relations as foreign terrorist organizations. He declares the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR have long made their goals clear, to forcibly impose Sharia law and establish Islam's mastership of the world. The actions taken by the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR that support terrorism across the globe and subvert our laws through violence, intimidation, and harassment are unacceptable. The Texas Department of Health has just closed the Halal Kitchen in the Lone Star State, metaphorically speaking. I hope groups such as American Civil Liberties Union, which work long and hard to drive religious expression from the public square, are happy with the result. Nature abhors a vacuum. Islam is filling that void, as it has throughout its history. Within 100 years of the death of Muhammad, Islam had spread from Spain in the west to India in the east. That wasn't the result of peaceful prophesizing like, "Hey, I'm from your local mosque. Have you heard about the prophet?" Today, a religious war is raging from Nigeria to Western Europe. Thanks to immigration and multiculturalism, it is here now too. Will Americans celebrate Christmas 100 years hence? That depends on what we do today. Don Fader, columnist, Washington Times. Thoughts on that? That poll was rather misleading. A lot of questions around it because of mythology. Yeah, I think it was, but still, it's concerning. It really upset me. We always have to accommodate all the religions, but none of them will give us the same courtesy. The God King says you sold your souls to Islam. Who sold their soul to Islam? Not me. I just don't get a Christian country respects other religions, but that respect is not reciprocal. Well, it's because they want us to be like Australia and Canada. In Australia now, almost nobody identifies as a Christian. It's sick. Bunch of heathens. Might have been discussed already, but apparently the 90-day visa free for Palestinians being signed was... yeah, no, that's true. I covered that. It was a couple days ago. I think Friday is when they do that. Yeah, I covered that story. Yeah, they did. They removed the 90 days. So now they have to have a visa before they try to come to South Africa. They can't land and get an airport visa. Yep. History of Islam is not one of acceptance, it's one of conquering. Exactly right. Exactly right. That's why when all the nonsense, when George Bush said a new crusade, people are freaking, oh my God, a crusade. No, what the crusade was Muslims had conquered the Holy Land and imposed Islam there or chased people away. Christians from Europe went to reconquer the Holy Land for Christianity. So that's the real story. They make it out like but there was a lot of bad stuff with them. But there's also bad stuff with Saladin and with all the Muslim empires there. So anyway, the caliphates. Yeah, no, I can't. This nonsense about perverting our constitution. Look. I don't have problems with Islam. I have many friends who are Muslim and they want to worship the way they want to worship. But there is a real problem going on here, and people deny it. It's true, and it's not Islamophobia. Who the hell's afraid of Islam? Not afraid of Islam. So, Faithful Farmer said, when I was a teen, I was interested in Islam. Vermont's very non-religious, so I searched. And the beliefs I saw Muslims have were scary. There are good Muslims, but not the ones who take it seriously. Yeah, the Crusades make a lot more sense these days. Vanessa Blossom, yeah, they do. They do. So I bought this book recently. Oh, I didn't hear it. I also didn't get to do this today because I didn't have a show. So my Kinder Chocolate for today, the 7th. I did update that, though. It's 18th. So I need 7 off here now. Where's 7 at? There's 8, 9, 22. Here's 7 down here, a little penguin. Get Kinder Chocolate out of there. Another heart-shaped one. Heart-shaped candy, so that's that one. Then let's look for number 7 on this calendar. Okay, 8. I got because of the light, I have to do these just right. 7 is down here at the bottom. So what do we got here? We've got a candle, Katza. I need a Katza. Okay, there's that one. And I bet the other one's no, it's not down here. 7's not here, so it's up here. Okay, I found that quickly. And this one is an engel. It's an engel, Engelchen, little Engelchen. Yeah, so there's an engel there. Okay, angel. All right, so there's that. Now, also, I recently got this book, which I ordered, Defenders of the West, the Christian Heroes Who Stood Against Islam. Yep, let me read some of I think I've read some of the names in here for you guys. History. Victor Davis Hanson writes in the forward. Then we've got Duke Godfrey, defender of Christ's sepulchre. The Cid, King Richard, the Lionheart, Saint Ferdinand, Saint Louis, John Hunyadi, in Wallachia, Skanderberg, the Albanian Braveheart, and Vlad Dracula, the Dread Lord Impaler. So, oh wow, Victor Davis Hanson's forward is pretty long here. He did this 2 years ago. Raymond Ibrahim is well known for translating and editing the mostly unknown writings and communiques of Osama bin Laden and Dr. Ayman al-Zawahiri in the Al-Qaeda Reader 2007. In the post-9/11 climate, Ibrahim revealed to Western readers the sharp dichotomy between the terrorist-filtered Islamism that appeared in English and the fiery jihadism they spoke and composed in Arabic to inflame their own constituencies. In the following years, Ibrahim focused on yet another little-known but increasingly worsening tragedy, the systemic oppression of Christian minorities throughout the Islamic world, culminating with his book, Crucified Again, Exposing Islam's New War on Christians, 2013. With Sword and Scimitar, 14 centuries of war between Islam and the West, Ibrahim. By the way, I've met Raymond Ibrahim at the Army War College, and actually have that book, The Sword and Scimitar. Yep. He offered an analysis on how and why, for nearly a millennium and a half, the Islamic world in the West fought so violently and seemingly endlessly, and why outmanned Western militaries and often far-off hostile theaters were able to persevere due to superior technology, logistics, and organization. In doing so, Ibrahim was returning to the same academic focus he had for over a quarter of a century earlier as a university student when he and I first met in the mid-1990s, and I eventually became his master's thesis advisor on the first major military encounter between the Christian West and Islamic East, the Battle of Yarmouk. Now, in Defenders of the West, Ibrahim revisits these historical themes of West-East adversity, but he focuses on individuals, specifically 8 important Christian warriors who fought Islamic armies in various iterations of nearly endless conflict. Some are familiar names known from Hollywood epics, El Cid and Richard Lionheart. A few survive in sensationalized form in popular culture, Vlad the Impaler, now known as Dracula. Others may be vaguely recognized by eponymous place names in America and Europe, like St. Louis and San Fernando. And yet the most impressive are mostly unknown to contemporary readers like Godfrey of Bouillon, John Hunyadi, and Skanderberg. Anyway, even so, they were canonized for centuries in the West, but now they've been forgotten because it's an intentional effort to undermine things. Very interesting guy. Yeah, I thought the name looked familiar. I know him. I've met him. I'm going to see if I can't get him on the channel. I'm not having much luck lately. Asking people to come on the channel. I get people to agree to come on the channel, then they disappear on me. So when you look at YouTube, Muslim types are infested with Salafi, basically Muslim, Puritans, Wahhabis, Salafi, Deobandi. Yeah, hardliners is a stronghold in youth. We have a few clients in supermarkets won't range certain groups of products if you don't comply with halal. Yeah, I know, that's South Africa. No, you can take your halal and shove it. I don't eat kosher food. I don't eat halal food. And if someone tries to force it down my throat, forget them. No. Yeah, I know that you pay a fee for foodstuffs. Yep. We buy even for non-halal food. Yep. You're correct, Karen. That's correct. Another private poll commissioned by a few big banks to validate the number, put it closer to 25. But yes, any number of 1% is still scary. 1% for what? What did you miss, says Roberto Wilco? Well, you didn't miss a whole lot. I did a reading of my op-ed or my column on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. It's Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. So it's December 8th for South Africans, but it's still December 7th here on the East Coast. Victor Davis Hanson is brilliant. He refers to the happenings in Saudi Arabia. I know. I've had Victor Davis Hanson on the program twice, and I tried to get him on again, but his PA is very busy, and then she didn't quite get back with me. The cost to comply with halal certification far outstrips the benefit of the Muslim population. It's only 2%. It's not even 2% of the population is Muslim. Nope. I mean, not even 2%. You have 1.3 million Indians, many of whom are not even Muslims, and many are Buddhist, and some are Christians. And then you've got amongst the colored community, but it's mostly, almost exclusively the Cape colored community. So it's 2%. Maybe it is. I've had him on the program, Daisy. I've had him on the program a couple of times. Yeah, we had an hour conversation the first time, then a half-hour conversation the second time. Yep. No, it's great. I love having Victor Davis Hanson. We had Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, and Captain Dylan Hunt from the Starship Andromeda. There's Martin Fundamental. Okay, welcome back. Or is that a different Martin Fundamental? How many Fundamentals are out there, man? I told you there's a lot of Fundamentals. Yeah, Alabala said she was already brainwashed by the colonel warning about the scams, meaning they never watched or only watched one time. Yep. Yeah, the scams are, dangerous. And Anna Kruger, hey, Anna, how's it going? Thank you for 35 Rand. Sorry, the alert thing is off. Let me turn that back on. My stomach is rumbling here. Where the heck is that? Where is the alerts? These things just don't jump out at you. There we go. Okay. So sorry about that, Anna. Thank you, 35 Rand. Tinky Keyser, what's up? A country that's majority Christian, a religious Hindu or atheist with Islam not making up 10%, but everyone pays toward the halal kosher money for all those. Yep. Oh yeah. He wasn't a young Hercules. He was in Hercules. But Kevin Sorbo was fantastic. He's a conservative, really great guy. I met him at CPAC when I was there in 2022. So he also agreed to come back on the program earlier this year and never got him back on. So there's a trend here that's starting to be very disturbing for me. I'm very concerned about it. So Kevin Sorbo promised to come back on. He got busy. And then a few other people. So it's really disconcerting. I'm not sure why. Anyway. So Glenn Greenwald wants to know why the GOP accepts Randy Fine but not Nick Fuentes. I don't care for either one of them. So what's your point, Glenn Greenwald? My Vegas Golden Knights played tonight. Must have been East Coast. Yep, they were in New York. They beat the Rangers 3-2. Good. In overtime. Had good overtime to win that game. All right. I have new alerts on my credit report. What's that about? Okay. Oh, a decrease in my balance. That's because I paid my bills. These alerts are funny. They send me an alert. You have an alert. Your balance is lower. Yeah, I pay my credit card bill off every month. That's why. Oh, by the way, folks, that's what I meant to say. So earlier today, I was talking about, people were asking about, where to get winter kit for South Africans coming over. And I said, well, you can go to LLB and you can go online and order the stuff. And then just an lark, I said, well, they do have physical stores. And I said, the closest one to me is in Columbia, Maryland, which is a ways from here, but I used to be right down the street from me when I lived in Maryland working at the National Security Agency. So I looked and I said, LLB near me. And I said, boom, there's one right down the road from me, like 20 minutes. I'm like, what? When did that get here? A year ago. It opened up in a Bed Bath & Beyond location that had gone bankrupt, but it sits away from the road, and so you don't see it in a big shopping area. And so I went there, and I just had to check out. So I went earlier, and oh my goodness. Look, I apologize if I told you to go shop there. I mean, unless you're rich, you don't want to shop there. I mean, of course, it might be that way everywhere, but I'm telling you, it was outrageously expensive. So let me see. 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 pictures. So there's 9 pictures. I know this isn't ideal, but so this is, they have fantastic kit. I mean, oops, there's the coats in LL Bean at the store. You see those? Lovely. Lots of choices there. Okay. And here's some beanies. Bunch of beanies there. Okay. Here's some more angle of the coats there. Lots of coats. All right, okay, and then here's some more and some shirts. Some great thermals were there. Really nice stuff. Really nice shop. And here's some of the Christmas stuff. You can see they got an advents calendar, a little house there in the center. So let it snow. There's a Christmas thing they've got up. And here's some sweaters and some trousers and stuff. Really, really nice stuff. Really good. Great selection. And then here's some nice flannel shirts and some jeans. And I shudder to imagine how much inventory is in the store. And here's a lot of pullovers or sweaters. And really nice ones there. But here's the thing. Everything in the shop, everything was $69 or more. They wanted $69 for a polo shirt. Those were marked down to $39. It's still pricey. And then a pair of ripstop trousers, $89. Sweaters, $89. Flannel shirts, $89. These people are crazy. I'm not paying that. I'll walk around wearing T-shirts and hoodies. I'll be like freaking, our senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, just wearing hoodies all the time. That's crazy. There is no budget, guys. There's no budget. You mean is there going to be there'll probably be continued resolution, but we have no clarity on that. They're supposed to vote soon on the health care subsidy, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Yes, Candace Owen has gone off the goop. She's nuts. I also have her videos about how she thinks Macron's wife is trans. Yeah. Well, no, she got sued for that, didn't she? Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. I've searched around since Friday for the reason behind the apparent dollar weakness. Czar looks like breaking blow. Well, it's a lot of effort by people to keep the dollar down. It's whatever. It'll be fine. Just a big shout out to all mods. If one see the communication in different groups, one wonder when do they sleep. We can meet some mods. I'm trying to think. Well, Eric is a mod. She's been to meet and greets. I think a couple other mods might have been meet and greets. But Hendo, we've never done a meet and greet with Hendo, so I've met him, but yeah. Some of the Afrikaners will just wear 2 layers of khaki shorts. A Genie t-shirt lady, says Shelly. Okay. I think I'll pack is a wool jersey my friend gave me from LL Bean. Yeah, LL Bean stuff is fantastic. I've got LL Bean. I've got LL Bean boots. I didn't even look for the boots. I went back there. I didn't even look. Fabian Esther, you've been to a meet and greet. I forgot we made you a mod. Yes, Roberto Wilkes. People say a lot. What's the difference between conspiracy theory and truth? 6 months. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about that. What'd you guys say of that op-ed? What'd you think of that op-ed by Don Feder? Pretty wild, huh? Well, there's a candlelight vigil for Marius Vlam van der Merwe, who was assassinated recently on Friday night. Witness D in the Mschlange Commission. Yep. They had a candlelight vigil for him outside the home. The community is brokenhearted, apparently, over what happened to him. I see Indians and black folks there. The Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, other civil organizations during a candlelight vigil honoring Marius van der Merwe. A 24-year-old Brockbrand resident who worked with slain former Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department officer Marius van der Merwe described him as a legendary figure in the community. Van der Merwe was honored with a candlelight vigil on Sunday, with the community still reeling after he was shot multiple times in full view of his family outside the Brockbrand home. He was a hero and a legend of this community. He was a person who was always full of smiles and never looked down on anyone. He was always willing to lend a hand at any time of day as if he knew his day was going to be here. He protected everyone, but unfortunately was not able to protect himself. In a broader sense, the killing that of Mfola and Babito Deakran for the Tembisa Hospital corruption is beginning to show us that there is something that is extremely rotten in Ekurhuleni. When we link this up with what was happened at Tembisa Hospital, then there needs to be spotlight on Ekurhuleni, and governance and policing issues must be focused there. Not to mention the police officers who were dropped in a creek, murdered and dropped in a creek. There is a lot of dodgy stuff going on. South Africa is being run by gangsters. Yep. Ronell was at the... Yeah, Ronell was... Do I have Ronell as a moderator? I don't think Ronell's a moderator, is she? I can't remember. Yeah, well, Ronell sets up the meet and greets in Vanderbilt Park. She set them up for me all the time. Sent you a MS in the chat. Did you hear the last voice note from Flom? I did not. Is it not for Afrikaans or English? But yeah, I'll take it. Send it to me, Francis. Yep. Yeah, I mean, this, as I said, it all started with Brett Kebbell. I mean, it was pretty obvious from that time on. Things were just going to get worse and worse. Carte Blanche had an interview with Marius a few years back about the Zamazamas. I didn't know that, Marissa. And according to someone in my chat, or who contacted me, I don't recall which it is, according to them, I can't verify this. A couple of people actually sent me this. They said that Marius had given evidence and given a statement to Captain Vainant de Toy, who was murdered off duty in a shooting a few months ago. The other witnesses aren't safe. Their life is forfeit, and it has been forfeit since they got involved in this program because the South African government will do nothing to protect them. They'll do nothing to protect them. They only care about the Tutsi. They only care about the gangsters. That's all they care about. Yep. How was his info leaked or did... Well, okay, well, Karen, his testimony would uniquely identify him. Only one person would be able to give the testimony he gave. He basically said that I was called to the scene by these people. I got there, and the other cop took this guy in the other room. They put a plastic bag. I saw them put a plastic bag on him. The door was shut, and they suffocated him. And then when it was done, the Inquinazi showed up, and Inquinazi told me to dispose of the body. And he thought if he didn't do it, he would be murdered right there. So, I mean, there was no way that, I mean, it's just a context. But the thing is, he's already on record. The testimony is already there. So, I mean, why would they murder him now unless it's just spiteful revenge? Haley Senecal, yeah, well, meet and greets. We've done meet and greets in Somerset West. We've done Somerset West, Strand, Pearl, Woodbridge Island, Strand. I already said Strand. Blauberg Strand, sorry, Blauberg Strand. Yeah, that's 5 different locations, Cape Town area. Yep. Yeah, I do lots of meet and greets in Cape Town area, although it's becoming quite dodgy. Quite dodgy, as I can see. Also met people in Boston. Yeah, they murder people to stop others from coming forward. Oh, I got you. Shelley said, you showed us some pics of you in uniform when you were young. The girls must have chased after you. Rumor has it, Shelley. As a warning to others that they may be willing to give testimony. His murder was a warning to others. Yeah, maybe. But I mean, the nail's in the coffin. What he gave is already going to lock these people up forever. Well, people were being told not to ignore witness intimidation over at the Mshlanga Commission. The murder of whistleblower Marius Fanda Marva and intimidation tactics used against the head of crime intelligence, Lieutenant General Dumisani Kumalo. 2 witnesses at the commission have raised concerns about the country's witness protection system. Well, there is no witness protection. It's witness run for yourself. Funderburg was shot multiple times in full view of his family outside their Brockpan home. He alleged that a group of Eckerley Metro Police Department officers, well, I already know about that, so. During his anonymous testimony, Funderburg expressed fears for his life, stating he felt he would be next if he did not go along with the conspiracy. Less than 3 weeks after his testimony, he was assassinated. Fabian, thank you for the 100 Rand Super Chat. Appreciate that. Okay, Francis. Well, if there's arrest and a court trial, then Marius would have been a witness, but now he's eliminated. Yeah, but that evidence can be given. It was sworn testimony, so it can be given. Well, the murders never get caught. So let me see what Francis sent me here. Oh, it's on YouTube. I thought you were sending me the note. That's not a note. That's YouTube. You sent me a YouTube link. That's not the same thing. So I gave somebody else's channel a view. What the hell is this advert? Oh, this is the message sent to Yusuf Abmajid.
Just sent hours before he was assassinated. Let us listen to this clip here.
Mr. Abramji, hope you're well. I trust you're well, sir. It is Vlam, or Marius van der Merwe. Sir, I've seen your post on this Zama that was allegedly buried alive in Benoni. I'm the person that was there. Obviously, there's things that transpired beforehand and afterwards, and I would like to talk to you about it. I would like to get my story out in public in terms of the role players from state that's facilitating the illegal mining problem, the key stakeholders that's facilitating this. I've got all the intelligence on that.
Well, maybe that's why he was killed. Maybe they're monitoring things and intercepted his call. Yes, I know that WhatsApp voice messages are encrypted, but anyway, maybe they had a tip-off that he was doing it. I don't know. But, yeah, where did that appear? Is that on Yusuf Ambrangi's Twitter account? I'll go to that real quick. Because, wow. So, did he release that, Yusuf? It's not finding it now. It's annoying. There he is. Well, I put Yusuf on there. No, it doesn't look like he put it out. So how did that voice note get out? Because it was his. He must have shared it somewhere. His commissions have the same evidentiary value. There's an affidavit. Oh, once trial starts, the affidavits are ripped apart by the defense under questioning. Yeah, it sounds like the more players will be exposed. Oh, what's this about the kid from the school crash? I've interviewed him. Yep. Dante van Wyk. Have a look in private. Well, what are you talking about? I looked at it. We're not hearing anything. Yeah. Bloke running for life. Was that who it was? Was it Dante van Wyk running for his life? Where's that video at? Well, it's no longer a slow descent into chaos and savagery. It's a rapid, headlong rush into descent. Yeah, Dante van Wyk. Yeah, it's a headlong rush into chaos and savagery. Okay, hold on. Let's stop with rumors and innuendo here. Someone said they saw a video of someone running for their life from the EFF. Who are we talking about? And then someone mentioned Dante. So I don't want fake news to get out here. Who is being chased for their life? I've just sent him a note. His phone's on wherever it's at. Yes, without a doubt, state security and how they monitors individuals and groups on behalf of criminals and politicians. Yep, exactly. He read my message. Okay. All right. All right, so I just sent him a note. So I'm in contact with him right now. The speed of descent can be measured at terminal velocity squared plus terminal velocity squared. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, guys. Let me see what he's got to say here. So he's writing back now. Meanwhile, Joburg Metro Police Department said 3 serial house robbery suspects arrested after a high-speed chase in Boskroen. Saturday, Johannesburg Metro Police Department officers received a lookout alert for a vehicle linked to multiple house robberies. 3 suspects, aged 37 and 38, and were sought in connection with house robbery in Florida, Rudaport, and Edenvale. Hang on. Come on. Yeah, he was calling, so I just said, I'm live, you'll be on air if you call in, so do you want to be on air? Okay, he doesn't mind. Okay, cool. Okay.
Hello.
Good morning, Dante van Wy. Goedemorgen.
Goedemorgen. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm well. My viewers were concerned about your welfare. They said there was a video of someone being chased by the EFF. I don't know if it's an old video or today. They were concerned about your safety, and that's why I wrote to you. And I see you're up at this hour. I don't know if that was you, but are you and your loved ones okay at this hour?
Yeah. So no, we haven't. For now, we're perfectly fine. We haven't received threats yet. Again, not running currently from anyone. I think there might have been something in the list that said I'm going for active test. That was only the first.
Okay, so this wasn't something that just happened to you or anyone in your family?
No.
Okay, well, that's good news. People are very concerned about your safety. They know that you're a target, along with people. And after we saw what just happened with the Mhlanga Commission with Marius van der Merwe on Friday night, people are very concerned about whistleblowers and those who stand up against injustice like you did. So my viewers were just very concerned about your welfare. So it's good to hear that you're okay.
No. I'm coping. I'm always trying to cope. Thank you, guys.
It's not a problem. I'm glad that you're coping, but these aren't things that people should have to deal with, particularly when they're trying to get their life up and running. But aside from that, whoops, someone just subscribed to the channel. That's what that sound was. Don't be frightened by that. Thank you, Mervyn de Klerk, for just subscribing to the channel. That's an alert on my system. So, but other than the nonsense you're dealing with, you're doing okay at this time?
I'm trying. As you know, you're not allowed to speak a lot about the program. We're almost done. That's all I'm saying is we're almost done. We're praying every day and hoping that this goes quick. As many of our people as well wish, we all can just wish for it to happen. I mean, we can't make it great. Understand?
Yeah, no, your approach is a lot of other people running around demanding that they get out of the country, and I appreciate your approach to it. But as we say in German, ich drücke die Daumen, which means I'm pressing my thumbs, which means I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for you and your family that that you get what you're looking for and that you get to safety soon.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. It was a surprise. You made me up. And I thought, okay, but I mean, I didn't know it's what to tell me where you are at. Are you busy?
It's 11:12 in the evening. We're now 7 hours behind you because of daylight savings time. Normally it's 6, but in the wintertime it's 7. So, and I'm usually on until midnight or 1 o'clock in my time. So I catch people early in the morning from South Africa. So right now I have about 200 people watching the program, and they're listening into your call because you gave me permission to do that. So yeah. So anyway, so Dante, anything you want to share with folks? I mean, it sounds like you've given us an update. You're okay, and that whatever video is circulating was not you.
No, that wasn't me at all. I'm not sure to which video they are referring to.
Nor am I, but I mean, so that's why I said, if nothing's happened to you recently, then it's not you. I think maybe someone's running something old, and see, I'm all about, running the truth down, and that's why I reached out immediately to make sure you're okay, because several people thought or assumed that it was you, and I want to make sure it was or wasn't, and now we confirmed that it wasn't you, thank goodness. I don't know what that video is. If I figure out what it is, I'll let you know about it, so you'll be aware of it too, okay?
Yeah, first thing, if anything does happen with me, I think you'll be one of the first people to know, in any case. Yeah.
All right. Well, people in the chat are sending their best wishes and their prayers to you and your family, which is very kind of them. And so with that, Dante, I'll let you go. And I just want to say thank you for, for responding, so we know you're okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris. And thank you guys for looking out for me. I do really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you very much.
All right, folks, I'm going to hang up on him. That's Dante van Wyk, and you've just heard from him that he's fine. It wasn't him, okay? So there you go. See, we're all about the facts here. If I can, and there's fortuitous that Dante was actually up at this hour. Didn't know you were going to mention his name tonight. So yeah, anyway, so there you go. So we can quash that rumor. It's not Dante, whatever that video was. He's doing okay. But of course, he lives pretty much on the run right now, which is unfortunate. Also, he indicated that he's going through something to get himself out of there. Xavier says a rerun an old video. Well, let me see. When do we run that? That was a few months ago, Dante's video. Uncommon Courage, August 29th. Okay, that's when we ran it, August 29th. Uncommon Courage, yep. And how did that thing do? Let me see how it did, analytics. That interview had 63,000 views on it. Got 126 subscribers from it. Yeah, so maybe I'll pull a piece of it from that and highlight it and run it again. Yep. Oh, you're saying that was probably rerun someone's talking about. Yeah, no, probably. That happens. Yeah, got you. Okay. Yep. Anyway, so and just think the exposure to informants within Home Affairs. The visa comes up, addresses and personal info all there and can be leaked. Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, it's pretty scary. When the government's involved in corruption and they can expose you, it's like, if you have to register your firearms and the government knows who's got firearms, they can share that with criminals. Isn't that the whole purpose of having the government firearms registry? Think about it. If there are corrupt people in government, they have access to who has the weapons and where they're at, then wonder why they're not just showing up at random looking for weapons. They know you've got weapons, and that's why they torture people to get the weapons, so, and then use them to kill you. So, not a good thing. Hey, Paul, what's going on? Rustenburg, one of my favorite places, but it's really, really gone downhill. I love the Mahalisburg. It's right there in the cusp of the Mahalisburg, like the Waterfalls Mall area, and then up over the hill, down the backside, that little settlement down there. Lovely spot. Good evening and blessed week. Thank you for your information. Thank you for your care. You're very welcome, Charles Edward Koch. Good to see you there. Talk about mixing Anglo and Afrikaner. Charles Edward Koch. And Paul, how's it going? Fonz was on here earlier today for an interview. Yep. So we had a big audience, concurrent audience, but total audience was not that big. I'm a little disappointed in that. It's taking off now. Okay, all right, there we go. So it's starting to take off now. But yeah, I was going to say maybe to people on Monday I'll watch it. But yeah, that refugee interview is. I hope I do a little bit better than that. So let me see if I got chewed out for what I said to people in my cafe clutch. Thank you. Always entertaining. Okay, no, it's all cool stuff. Yeah, I made a new graphic for the Cafe Clutch. I made it like in Colorado. That was kind of a tribute to Fonz. So the picture is South African refugees gathering in a coffee shop in Colorado. You can see the mountains in the background with snow. Yeah, I probably was Conrad, but it's the only way I could do it because of the rugby. Blame it on the Challenge Cup and the cheaters who were terrible. Well, go watch it after the fact, Justiner. All good. Thanks, Colonel. Had some nice rain. Yes, we stayed up for the interview. Cool. It was late in South Africa. I'm sure people watched that. I hope so, Phoenix. I think that's what the issue was. Yep. Hope they'll watch it. So, yep. We are struggling to get to, my next goal is 125,000. We're taking a long time to get there. June 4th, we had 100,000, and now we're at 116. So, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. It's been 6 months to get to 16,000. It's a little over 2,000 a month. Where did Big Bang Theory characters go? Oh, the Big Bang Theory characters are, where did I put them at? They're here. Oh, they're behind me. They're behind me. I took them down because put Christmas stuff up. Big Bang Theory characters there. Please push the like button on behalf of Maze. Yeah. 10 p.m. Sundays is when I start praying for the crappy weekend. Dirk, you're killing me, man. But is it possible for you to sometimes show us how some of the houses in your area are made up for Christmas? No, absolutely. I can do that. I won't do it in my neighborhood, but I'll go elsewhere. It's a shame because this year, my neighborhood, these people are out of control. They are out of control. In my neighborhood, these people are absolutely out of control. What I'll do is drive to some other neighborhood in the evening and take some images. Yeah. No, in my neighborhood, it's like I'm like a piker here. I've got almost no Christmas. I got some lights out on the bushes out front and a little bit of stuff. Inside the house, I've got some nice Christmas decorations. This is just tame. You should see the rest of the house. Tree hasn't gone up yet, so it's a bit late. But yeah, where's the bunny? You need the bugger off bunny? He's right here. Yep. Good guy, John. Well, good to hear that. Most of the time, but lurking. Hey, Ronell. Yeah, that's right. You were a moderator. So, yeah. Terrible flu going around in South Africa. Well, man, get rid of that stuff. You want me to come back to South Africa so I can get the flu? You know, of the 5 trips I made to South Africa since the COVID scam was eased up, I've gotten ill 2 of them. One time I got ill in South Africa and then recovered. And another time I got ill in South Africa and brought it home. But it kind of was gone by the time I got back. No, I don't think so, Edward. I don't really think Edward Dos Santos that Ramaphosa really cares that much about white people. He just cares about his fame and his fortune. That's all he cares about, and power. Well, Alex, you had trouble in Ohio? That's odd. Watch it again. My daughter and I keep getting harassed by 2 Zim men who robbed us in January and SAPs. So we must just ignore them. They can't be caught, but they're still running their TV repair business. I thought one puts up Christmas decorations, tree 25 days before Christmas, 15 days Christmas. Well, Karen, people have different traditions. Normally, I think rational people wait until after Thanksgiving to start putting things up. Usually trees go up after Thanksgiving, sometimes around the 1st of December, but I'm a little tardy this year. I've been a little bit busy answering people's emails, making content. My views are way up this past month and a half. I was, after having a monthly average of 4 million views, which is respectable for a news program. It's better than CNN. But 4 million views per month after all the surge back April, May, and June. It died down, and then I traveled, and it really fell off a cliff. People weren't really watching my content as much anymore as people weren't coming for FGs, because so many of the new people came for FG stuff. Many stayed for the news and for my commentary and my analysis and the chit-chat sessions, but dropped back down to 1.9 million. It was at 2 million for a while. It dropped 1.9 average. That's at 28 days. So the calendar's always sliding. 28 days. So if you had a big day here, back here 29 or 27 days ago, and the 28 days, and then 29 days, it's out of your numbers. Thing announced, sincere thanks for your efforts. Thank you for the 40 Rand Super Chat. It's very kind of you. So I'm back up now to almost 3 million views per month on average, which is just, it's killing it. It's crushing South African content creators. I'm not boasting, I'm just stating the facts, because I was dropping down to level, but we were all dropping. So hopefully they're also surging at this time too. Normally get flu, hits me hard. Do you know if Operation Pet Lift is still going? Yes, it is, but I've had no updates on it, Denise. No updates on it. No, that's a very bold statement that you can't make, Buster. You can't say that 43 million black South Africans don't care about white people. That's simply not factually true. Not factually true. I know black people who've put their life on the line for white South Africans. So, you can't say that about everyone. You can't stereotype everyone. Cats aren't interested. Well, I used to have cats, and my cats would love to get into the Christmas tree. They loved being around the tree. Prince would like to hang out under the tree. Yeah. Socialists, and they also like to hang out near the heating vents because they like to stay warm. Socialists and government couldn't be happier that there is now another way for minorities to leave South Africa. The program is only used as narrative to paint Trump as white supremacist. Yeah, that's what they do. But how many lives will be saved by people getting out? And look at what they'll do. I mean, none of these people are held to account. We had a government, who was it? Was it Gwede Mantashe? One of the government ministers ran their mouth. I think it was Gwede Mantashe. After the fake news report and the lies were spread about, well, look at the refugees. They went to America and they started killing each other already. Remember that when the American former soldier murdered his South African wife in Virginia? It had nothing to do with the refugee program. And remember, a government minister jumped on that program. No one held to account for their lies. No one held to account. All the lies about this program and spread just utter nonsense. Yep. By the way, I have more news for you guys. So tomorrow, a programming announcement, I will have on the program Peter Altenbach from the Hartbeespoort Economic Forum. He'll be talking about Hartbeespoort and what's been happening there. So that's tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock South Africa time. And then I have another interview with Ref G. That's on Thursday. And that's a family that's in Massachusetts. So, yeah. What's your professional analysis on the fake news and hypocrisy with Ebenet Smith? What's the fake news, Hannes Olivier? What is the fake news? He got a 12-week ban. What is the fake news? Am I missing something? Just got my granddaughter over. She is 5 and never had a Christmas tree. I spent 5,000 rand on Christmas trees so she can have the experience. Oof, wow, that's crazy, Fabian. Colonel, you're 100% correct. The only racial division being sown is by the politicians. All the South Africans, regardless of race, just want to live together in peace. Yeah, by and large, except for the criminal element, you know. But, I mean, it's hard to distinguish the criminals from the politicians. You'll notice in my one video, I criticized South Africa's parliament, called them cowards, unlike Marius Fundameva. You're welcome, Dante. Hey, there's Dante Van Wyk, folks. There's Dante Van Wyk. Hey, thanks for being here, Dante. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, folks, you want to show your concern and love for Dante. He's in the chat now. Yep. Poked in the eye, punch first. Oh, you're talking about, well, I've never seen the video. I saw the game, but the camera wasn't on him. It was over on the side. They showed replays. They showed a little bit of build-up, and you could see some of the stuff where it looked like man had poked him in the eye first. So, yeah, I mean, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, even if he was done, that doesn't excuse what he did. It just means that the others need to be punished too. Yep. Had to struggle to find the chat. Well, yeah, no, the video is hidden, Dante. You gotta save my channel and then just go to my channel and look for the lives on the live tab, because YouTube is very nasty about that. So thanks for being here. Oh, look at that. Xavier saying hello, and Francis and Will is saying hello. Leslie says, I vote we all push you to the front of the queue. I don't think it works that way, unfortunately, guys. Yep. Is CB here? Hey there, CB. Oh, you're on holiday. Well, how nice for you, man. So we've got rugby coming up next weekend, and after this weekend, I don't know if I'm excited about it. Oh, look at this. I went to LL Bean tonight, and I received an LL Bean email. 15% off your favorite flannel gifts. Online in stores through December 8th. I was just in the store. Didn't see any sale on flannel sheets, wicked good moccasins, 280 thread count Pima cotton per cali sheet set, Sonic snow tubes, and boat totes. Anyway, so yeah, they must have figured out that I went to the store, because they sent me an advert, or maybe it's just time. Oh my goodness. Wow, isn't it something else? Yeah, what was I trying to do here? I went here for a reason. I was trying to find something. Yep. Yeah, so Go Cheetahs. That's what it was, rugby. Thank you. Thank you, Go Cheetahs. Well, not today, CB. Did you watch the show? I don't think I saw you in the chat. If I did, I don't recall. No, it was not pretty. EPCR. Let's take a look at what we got next week. It's not pretty. I mean, it's only going to get worse for these teams. I think all of them have some real challenges next week, so Challenge Cup matches next week. Here we go. So let's go to the well, that's Challenge Cup. Hang on a second. I got screwed up here. Go back to Champions Cup. There we go. Okay. So next week, round 2, the Stormers are Saturday morning, 8 o'clock my time. They're against Stade Rochelet. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. And then that's followed at 10:15 by the Sharks and Saracens. Sharks are going to be destroyed. That's John Plumtree's final game. He won't be the coach. J.P. Peterson, former Springbok, will be the coach of that game, and former Shark. So that's on Saturday. And then also on Saturday, the Cheetahs play at 8 o'clock, so I won't be able to cover it. I'll keep people updated on it. They play Stade Francais. That's not going to go well. That is not going to go well. Yep. So on Saturday at 8 o'clock, it's, wait a second. Pool 1, round 2, okay? Cheetahs at 8 o'clock on Saturday against Stade Francais Paris, and they're going to get slaughtered. But that's on the road in Amsterdam, so maybe they can pull it out of the hat, but they did not look good today. So that one, and then the Lions play at 12:30. So it'll be Stormers, Sharks, Lions on Saturday. I'll miss the Cheetahs game. On Sunday, it will be the Bulls. And the Bulls don't get any easier. It doesn't get easier for the Bulls. The Bulls are playing Northampton, who won today, or yesterday. Doesn't get any better. By the way, folks, I'm going to share this with my audience tonight that you're here. So, you often hear me say that that I'm pretty certain that I know certain groups, media outlets, and political parties or politicians or leaders and organizations are watching my content. Well, I can confirm unequivocally tonight that there are people in the White House that are watching Chris Wyatt Africa. Yep, I can confirm that. Yep, and that's all I'll say. Oh, Will, I'm so sorry. Willem, he's a Bulls fan. Sorry about that, man. You must have been tortured as a child or something. Forced you to be a Bulls fan. Ah, boy. Yeah, Savior, it's true. I was able to confirm that earlier today. Yep. Looks like Dante's dropping out now, so thank you, Dante. CJNG. I'm at a loss for that. I don't know that Trump is watching it. If you see this, Trump, I love you and you're the best president, says Faithful Farmer from Vermont. The Green Mountain State. Yeah, Phoenix says, oh, but we knew because they'll watch your show. Yep. Anyway. Rion Cronia, what's going on, man? Good to see you there. Happy Monday to you. It's still Sunday here for another 30 minutes. And the train, freight trains. You can hear the train out there. I don't know if you heard it, but just went through. Shifting painfully. No, I'm antsy. I'm antsy. I was tired earlier. I drifted off. I was watching Death in Paradise, taking a little break for a couple hours after I came back from Veterans Organization, and I drifted off. So I'm a little antsy. Actually got a little nap. So Quid says, in that case, people in the White House, please. Yeah, look, I know I've got confirmation from political parties in South Africa. People are watching my content. Also, it's interesting when I reach out to a lot of people in South Africa. They're like, "Yeah, happy to come in your program." Yeah, I know who you are. It's interesting. Yeah. So, no, it's not the hip. The hip is. I didn't even take my my anti-inflammatory today. It wasn't a problem at all today. The teacher asked the first graders whom they support, the Stormers, and the teacher's hand went up first, followed by everyone except the one girl. Super Brew's nasty. Oh my goodness, Shark. Oh, okay. Look, I showed off my Super Brew when I was like almost perfect, and I got like 8 bonus points. Remember that? Yeah. So I'm going to be consistent here. I'm going to show you how badly it went for me today. Oh dear gosh, I wound up with a winning record, 11-10, but that's just ugly. So here we go. Here we go, guys. So this is my Super Brew. We'll start with Friday. It'll be at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, I'm about transparency on this one. So Friday, I picked Ulster, won. I got the Stormers by 10. That was perfect. Then Glasgow came back and beat Sale late, and so I lost that one. So I was disappointed. Then the Lions let me down after leading 18-8. And then the mistake I made was picking Clermont. I should have gone with Saracens. I knew better. And then I picked Cardiff because Cardiff's been looking good, but Stade Francais destroyed them. And then I got Montpellier. I picked it right, but then the Bulls let me down. They were leading 33-22, and they lost, giving up all those points. The Newcastle, Lyon, that one I'll take the blame for, but I wasn't sure in that game. The Harlequins game was easy to pick. Leinster was going to run. Stade Rochelet was easy to pick. And then Bristol, I just barely won that. They should have done much better against the Scarlets, but they won that by a point. The Bath game, I expected Munster to perform better than that, but they just got destroyed by Bath. And then Zebra Parma shocked me. I didn't expect that win. So there's 3 there that I didn't expect, and 2 I was screwed on because teams let me down. So that's like 4 I would have gotten more. But you can see just the bloodletting yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games I lost. I only won 4 games yesterday. That's crazy. Today was a bit better. I missed 2 only because Toulon collapsed late, and Osprey came back to win at the end. Otherwise, I would have gotten all of them today. So I got 1 bonus point, but I did pick Perpignan over the Dragons and Northampton over Section Palois. and then Gloucester and Stade Toulousain over the Sharks, over the Sharks, and then Exeter over the Cheetahs. So yeah, that's so that was my ugly Super Brew weekend. That was just bad. So let's take a look at the captaincies and see if they're updated now. So the Challenge Cup, let's see. Tage Kachibuao got the yellow cap. Did I get the spoon? No, Ballistic Nick got the spoon. I don't think. And look at that. I'm at the bottom. 22nd. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. And then let's see, captaincies here, and that's the Champions Cup. Let's go see. That looks terrible, man. All right, John got the yellow cap. He's picked 12 right. Man, what a smart guy there. Look at that. Look at that. What's that star mean? Oh, he's a premium user. Okay. That's why. He's a ringer. And look at this. I'm down here. Now, guys, you know this isn't usually where I'm at. I'm usually up in the middle or near the top of these things. Very frustrating. It went very ugly for me. Very ugly. How about you guys? Yeah, CB. Forget to pick a few matches. That kills you. That's happened to me, too. That happened to me in URC. I thought I picked them, and it didn't pick. And that's my fault, but I mean, I thought I picked them, and then that killed me for one weekend, so I dropped all the way down to like 21st, something like that. But then 2 great weekends in a row brought me back in the top 10. Whoever's listening from White House, Colonel's the most knowledgeable person I know regarding anything. Well, Michael Marks, and you can also say empathetic and generous and wonderful and devastating and handsome. Throw that last piece in there. I don't really think that really helps, but you could say that, you know, devastating and handsome too, if you like. Yes. People's Court is in session. The verdict is devastating and handsome. Sent you an email, and no, it's not about any help. It's just something that was shared with me. Okay, Sigi, thank you for that. Derek, now I know why you're so successful in business just by the wise choices your rugby sport. Bull support entire life, but this idea of a high altitude and heat is not a benefit in the professional game anymore. Overseas teams come Loftus and win more than they lose. Exactly. That's just a myth now. At this stage, it's a myth. It's a myth. Yep. A couple of years ago, we could still see it having effect, but not anymore. The key is for the South African sides to be fit, and some of them are gassed in the second half. So love to come on your program after this week and settle in. We cannot thank you. Okay, Ariane Kronia, I'm guessing that you are in the U.S. now. Congratulations to you on that. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to come over or discouraging, but yeah, maybe next week, this coming week, I've got a refugee on Thursday, so that's exciting. Nicholas says, devastatingly handsome. Yeah, no, it's, in New York, I'm known as Chris. In Chicago, I'm known as Chris. In Africa, I'm known as the devastatingly handsome white man. Who needs a haircut? Look at that, man. Look at that mane. Look at that hair. South African teams have a lot more trouble with artificial. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Ronell's off. Okay. Take care. Need to drop off and get the workday started, says Paul. Next time you visit, please pop in. Yeah, that sounds like a plan, Paul. Rustenburg, yeah, I hadn't planned on going to Rustenburg, but maybe I'll go up there and then also get to Zeerust again. Got to check in on the Forum for Democrats. Faithful Farmer wants to know if Rian Cronje is happy in America. Well, it sounds like early days for Rian. I did receive an email from someone earlier today who has been in the States since August and doesn't have a Social Security number. And they're being told by the refugee assistants that they won't take them until January. So I sent a screen capture of the 3 offices in the town we're located at for the Social Security Administration. I'm not sure how that works for refugees or if I'm gumming up the works, but if they've waited since August, September, October, November, 3 months, November, December, and January, they're going to make them wait 5 months to get a Social Security number, then they're just making them be a burden on society when they want to work. So yeah, I will investigate that tomorrow. That's the problem is that it's in a different time zone, so I'm going to have to figure out when I can do that. So yeah, so that's shocking. If you're in here, whoever it is, don't out yourself. Thank you for sending it to me. I think you tried to call me earlier today, but I was driving, and also I didn't say you could call me, so I don't know that number, so I'm not going to answer numbers I don't know. Boofle Sport. Okay. Yeah, Cape Town is windy. It's a very windy city, well, the whole windy area there. I don't know why anybody wants to live in the Cape Flats. In fact, I'm not even a huge fan of Stellenbosch anymore, but I do like Pearl. I like Wellington. Yes, Nicola, I'm pretty sure they're using my analysis and expertise without paying me. That's true. Or give me any recognition. What do you think will happen to people who have received accommodation arrangements USA in November but had their dates delayed? Huh? Well, that's an impossible question to answer, Hannes Olafir, because I don't know the situation. I don't know where you're going. I don't know if that accommodation has been paid for. I don't know what that means. I mean, your question is pretty straightforward, but it's too vague. I mean, if you were to tell me that, okay, I was supposed to go to Las Vegas, the refugee assistance officer told me that they had a leased apartment, and then I'm supposed to move in on December 1st. And they're going to cover the rent for the first 2 months. But now I'm not arriving until February. What happens to me now? Now, if you gave me those kind of details, which I don't want you to do in this chat, if you give me those kind of details, I could address that. But I mean, like earlier we had Fonz on, and Fonz is in former university apartments. I've been places like that. So, for instance, at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, I stayed on Fort Ord, which used to be Fort Ord, but was turned over to California, and we had barracks on the place the soldiers used to live in. Very nice barracks. And many of them were vandalized because there was no military guarding the place anymore. And so people just came in and trashed it, and the cops never took care of it. And the state of California did. But anyway, part of it was turned into a campus for, I think, Pacific University or something like that. And so they had lots of empty rooms, and they weren't paying for them. They had full buildings that were dormitories, turned into dormitories that used to be residences for soldiers. And so it wasn't costing them anything to have those rooms. So if that's a case like where Fonz is at, and I suspect that that whole thing has been turned into apartments that used to be a university campus. This is different than ours. Ours was military turned into university campus. This is university campus turned into housing for refugees. In that case, if you had some kind of combination like that, then it's not costing them money and they still got space, then you probably go right into it. Does that make sense? Secret to Colonel's good hair and great looks is the Coca-Cola, says Will. No, I think it's the Starbucks. My hair is going to start falling out now that I'm not drinking Starbucks anymore. Is Arctic here? I haven't seen him. Jerry, have a good day at work. Okay. Parl is very nice. Very nice. Any administrative processes have hiccups because people still manage it. Not everyone will have the same experience, good or bad. Exactly. This is 100% right, Dirk. It's like that. Yep. I mean, I've had good experiences renewing my passport. I've had bad experiences renewing my passport. Yeah. William says, yeah, it's the Starbucks. Jess, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, so, I mean, by the way, after this horrible weekend, I decided to wear this today. after the Sharks and the Cheetahs stunk up the house, after the Bulls and Lions collapsed yesterday, 4 out of 5 losses, I had to wear something to put me in a good mood for rugby. Oh, yeah, Fabian, the bet ended on the 4th of December. That was 3 days ago, almost 4 days ago. I could have a Starbucks in 4 days. I've got a fridge full of them again. I put them back in because it doesn't matter now about the temptation. But see, it wasn't temptation, it was habit. Force of habit. I go get one of those drink. I could have one right now if I wanted. But here's the thing about that. Much like the Coca-Cola, much like certain types of food, much like the certain sweets I like to eat, I'll eat them and then I just get tired of it. I just stop. So, Arctic made a bet with me, but he didn't tell me the purpose was to get me off of sugar to improve my health. I mean, that came after the bet was in force. To me, just like he didn't like the Starbucks, and he said, I'm going to get this guy off it, so I'll make a bet with him. And, to be fair, Arctic paid the bet off 2 weeks into it. I guess he realized that I wasn't going to cave. So, and to be fair, I had plenty of opportunity to cheat. Plenty of opportunity. I mean, it's on my honor. I could have cheated any time, but I never did. In fact, I could have skirted the bet a little bit because they have a Jamocha shake at Arby's, which is so good. So tasty. Oh, it's amazing. Ooh, it's like chocolate Jamocha. Ooh, it's to die for. And then we've got McDonald's has the McCafe. They got another nice mocha drink. It's very tasty. I was at both those places during the course of this bet, and nope, that would be cheating. His idea was to get me off this stuff. And I asked up front, does that mean I can't get the Frappuccinos that I buy in the store, the big ones? And he said it includes that. So I didn't do that. Now, earlier today, when I came back from LL Bean and saw their $90 shirts, no, thank you. When I came back from LL Bean store after discovering there was one nearby me and it had been open for a year, I stopped at the supermarket on the way home to get some lettuce and some stuff to eat for Din Din. And there's a Starbucks, and it wasn't 7 p.m., which is when they close, because I had to be at the Veterans Organization. I was tempted to go get a Starbucks Frappuccino for myself, but then I said, you know what, I don't really need it. And then I looked at the price of it, $7.40 with tax, and I was convinced that that's $7 I don't need to spend. So yeah, no Starbucks. Hey, Del Marie, what's going on? Yeah, you're right, Fabian. I should have the same bet with him with alcohol. That's a good point. Well, good luck with home affairs. World's under review from the beginning of shutdown for 5 of us till today, so there's nothing that makes us feel like we're going nowhere. Yeah, Quids, I understand your concern. Yeah, and there are a lot of risk sharing data because, I mean, you don't know. I mean, anybody, millions of people could look at this, and millions of people, there will be, the odds are there'll be some malcontent or malevolent, what's the word? Not malevolent. Yeah, malevolent actor there. What do you think happened to people who received a combination of U.S. but had delayed dates late? Hannes Odefier, did I answer that? I thought I just answered that. Okay. I think those people will continue to be processed and be sent. If you're talking about people who were in the batch of people from the 26th September to about the 10th of October and their flights were canceled because of the government shutdown, then we'll get to you. We already have talked to people who and confirmed that they have arrived in the States who are part of that group, but many of them haven't, which is wrong. And I castigated my government for that earlier today. It really looks like a total bum up from the outside. Looks like the Bulls and Lions are the ones affected by altitude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Bulls were the ones who are gassed, and their defense was just blown through. Missed tackles, and there was nobody to stop in the backfield. Yep. Yeah, they both ran out of steam. You're right, Dirk. Yeah, very poor conditioning would be my expectation. Yep, no doubt. Actually, the Sharks fought back and were pretty good in their game, but they ruined it 4 or 5 times inside 5 meters. They didn't score. They could have tied it up, or not tied up, but came up 28-26 and maybe even taken the lead if they just executed. But then they just wore down after that. So you and Dirk both need to send an email to Chris consenting that your information is given to the others. That way you can connect the two of you. Yeah, no, you guys have to send me something. I don't pass emails along unless I get consent from those who send it. Same with phone numbers. Yep. How cool was that, guys? You guys were concerned about Dante van Wyk, and I called him, and he was up, and he answered right away, and we confirmed he was okay. Isn't that cool? That was pretty cool. It's the Wyatt Army in action, man. The Wyatt Army. Daniel Whitfield, welcome to you. Any relation to Andrew? I never asked that question. There's Arctic right there. He's been, oh, okay. He was clapping a moment ago. Yeah, so are we going to stop Arctic from drinking alcohol? I'm not going to make that bet. Technology is amazing. Well, it's not just technology, Nick. You're right. It's technology makes it possible, but, you know, it takes willpower. As people express their concern about Dante van Wyk, and so, yeah. Yep. Johan Bester, you know, somebody mentioned my name in Benoni today. I love that. Oh, in order to get Arctic to stop drinking alcohol, it's going to cost more than $500. I'm not game for that then. As long as you're not flying and drinking when I'm in the plane, I'm good to go. Hey, Dirk. Well, that's kind of you to say, Dirk. Maybe I'll try this someday. I'll call Dirk at 6 a.m. Okay, we'll put him on the show. Hey, Dirk, it's a Colonel. Are you awake? The government said, in my opinion, every year, if no budget is passed, it must not could keep on running until a new budget is passed. No, it's illegal, Anton. That's against the Constitution. They've got to pass a budget. Yep. Yeah, I'm messing with this whiskey. Yeah, that's a dangerous field to step into. No, Morsh. Hey, Morsh, how you going? Was I snarky to you earlier, Morsh? Morsh, I'm sorry if I was snarky earlier in the previous broadcast. Well, Holden Caulfield, it's a very good question. Why haven't they raided Joe Biden's residences and looking for more classified information? I'm sure he's got it squirreled away somewhere. Charles Edward Cook says, thank you. Very welcome. It's my pleasure. Those are fighting words. What's fighting words? The whiskey? Yeah, no, as far as the person who said they're going to off themselves, no, there's no way for me to confirm that. I didn't know who they really were. So, yep. And Holden Caulfield asked a very good question. Why haven't they raided Obama's library? Well, I think they should raid Obama's library and his home. Yep, absolutely. I think they should. There's more than just cause to do it. So that reminds me of something. That's the story I have for this morning. Let me find that because I picked up some news here. So where's that at? Hang on. Where's that story at? The mystery deepens as to why the FBI took 5 years to finally bust the suspected J-6 bomber. This is an opinion piece by Miranda Devine. The arrest of alleged J-6 pipe bomber just lumps mystery on top of mystery. What we know from court documents and media reports since his arrest Thursday is that suspect Brian Cole Jr. is a black 30-year-old loner who lives in his mom's basement in the middle-class suburb of Woodbridge, Virginia, a 20-minute drive from Washington, D.C. Wait, he's black? No. Brian Cole, I heard it from Jake Tapper. Brian Cole, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Cole is white. I mean, here he is right here. There you go. Brian Cole Jr., a white male from Woodbridge, Virginia. I mean, Jake Tapper told me. It was on CNN's broadcast. We have breaking news now, an arrest of a white male in his early 30s. There's the white male. Do you guys not watch CNN? Come on. Don't you guys watch CNN? Jake Tapper said that's a white man. There he is right there. It's a white male. He looks like Urkel. Doesn't he look like Urkel? Doesn't he? He looks like Urkel, guys. Southern government keep functioning at current spending levels for, I believe, 6 months if a budget is approved. Not the same. The U.S. No, U.S. is different. Well, Sandra's skin color does change. Sandra, are you the Sandra who wrote the books, whose kids' books? I'm getting confused. Are you a different Sandra? Yeah, CNN is colorblind. Yeah, so they blame white people for things they didn't do. Anyway, he's a 30-year-old loner who lives in his mom's basement. According to his family, he's a borderline autistic and incapable of such a crime. Really? Well, he did it. Jake just wants to tap it. Yes, exactly. Mark Milley wanted to understand white rage. General Milley was an embarrassment. Disgrace. Interviews Cole's grandmother, Loretta Cole, said he's very naive. He's almost autistic, like because he doesn't understand a lot of stuff. He's slow. He may be 30, but he's got the mind of a 16-year-old. Yet we were told his alleged criminal mastermind evaded the FBI for almost 5 years. But surely there's more to it than that. Patel hinted on Friday at a reason the FBI under Christopher Wray during the Biden administration may not have wanted to solve the crime. Intentional negligence, which is what I said all along. They were busy rounding up grandmothers who walked into the Capitol building when police opened the door for them. This, after all, was the FBI that managed to round up and charge 1,500 Trump supporters who set foot anywhere vaguely near the Capitol on January 6th, tracking them down through cell phone pings and video footage. Yet with all their technical ability, Wray's the FBI somehow missed the phone used by the suspect in the vicinity of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee on the evening of January 5th when the pipe bombs were planted. Surveillance footage shows the suspect wearing a gray hoodie and COVID-style white mask, seemingly talking on the phone while walking around that night less than half a mile from the Capitol. According to an FBI document presented in the District Court of D.C. during Cole's arraignment on Friday, Cole's cell phone engaged in approximately 7 data session transactions with his cell phone provider towers between 7:39 and 8:24 in the area of the RNC and the DNC on January 5th, locating him at night time in the right place. That information was obtained by the FBI within weeks of the discovery of the pipe bombs the next day. Investigators found 186 cell phone numbers of interest and 130 devices of interest, according to the congressional report released this January by Oversight and Judiciary House Committee Chairman Barry Loudermilk and Thomas Massie. By early February 2021, according to subcommittees, FBI agents have been assigned to interview people associated with 36 of the 186 phone numbers. 98 still require additional investigative steps. A further 51 phone numbers were identified as not needing further action because, curiously enough, the phones belong to law enforcement officers or persons on the exclusion list. Like law enforcement wouldn't do this. The FBI never told Congress what came of those leads. Then there's a curious tale of the corrupted cell phone data that turned out to not be corrupted at all. The story came from Steve Antoneau, head of the FBI's Washington field office until his retirement in December 2022, who was in charge of the crucial first year of the pipe bomb case as well as the Capitol riot investigation, which has been described as the biggest in FBI history. He was assigned to Washington 1 month before the 2020 election from his previous role in Detroit, when he ran the disastrous Gretchen Whitmer Fed-napping case, which resulted in multiple mistrials and acquittals and made claims of FBI entrapment of patsies. D'Antonio, who has since found a job at KPMG, also led the controversial FBI raid on Donald Trump's home Mar-a-Lago. Well, here we go. We found the evil people involved. He claims that he opposed the raid but was overruled by then Deputy FBI Director Paul Abate. In any case, in June of 2023, D'Antonio testified before Congress claiming that the FBI had received corrupted data in the pipe bomb case from one of the 3 major cell phone carriers and that may have been the reason why they couldn't find the culprit. We did a complete geofence, but there's some data that was corrupted by one of the providers, not purposely by them. It was unusual circumstances that we had corrupt data from one of the providers. I can't remember now which one, but for that day, which is awful because we don't have that information to search, so it could have been that provider. Yeah, with our luck, this investigation, it probably was, right? Yet all 3 of the cell phone carriers contacted by Loudermilk's subcommittee confirmed they did not provide corrupted data to the FBI. The FBI never notified them any issues with accessing the cellular data. Another confounding mystery of the case is that in all 39,000 video files the FBI obtained from surveillance cameras showing the suspect walking around and placing the pipe bombs on the evening of January 5th, there was not a single image released to the public that would help identify the person. Yeah, isn't that strange? Isn't that strange? Not a single photograph. Just like the black Capitol police officer who murdered Ashley Babbitt. He was never, still not released. But the day that a white Capitol police officer shot a black suspect who tried to run down a black Capitol police officer at the Capitol building just days after January 6th, his photo was released and his identity was released by the Capitol Police. The white officer's life was put in jeopardy by a racist who wanted to murder him because he shot someone who was endangering the Capitol building and his fellow police officer. But they never released the name or anything about the black cop who blatantly, without provocation, murdered Ashley Babbitt. All images and video released by the FBI were low resolution and choppy. Mike Pence, a former State Department official during Trump's first term and executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, also claims a blur bar or pixelization effect had been laid over the suspect's eyes in footage which shows him looking either directly at the camera while sitting on a bench outside the DNC building. Judging by the video, it might also be goggles, but either way, nobody recognized the subject, perhaps by design. What we do know is that in the first few weeks of the pipe bomb investigation, the FBI was pursuing promising leads and had identified multiple persons of interest as suspects. But by the end of February 2021, according to Louder American Master's report, the Bureau actively began diverting resources away from the pipe bomb investigation. At the same time, Ray and Abate were ramping up resources to track down and aggressively prosecute trespassing January 6 grandmothers. Demonizing Trump and his supporters and extracting every morsel of political capital out of January 6th was a priority of Joe Biden and his congressional hatchet woman, Nancy Pelosi. Well, and, of course, the scumbag from Wyoming, remember her? Remember her? Liz Cheney. Yeah. And, of course, the scumbag from Illinois, him. Ray, the consummate political animal who wanted to stay on as FBI director, tailored his response to suit. Nothing would be permitted to interrupt the false narrative that January 6th was an insurrection worse than 9/11 committed by the ultra-MAGA white supremacist domestic terrorists who killed 4 cops. None of that was true, of course. In the wake of Biden's insane racial pandering following the Black Lives Matter riots, it would have been most inconvenient if a black man was the pipe bomber, which he was. Just like it was most inconvenient when Malvo, a black man, was the serial killer in the D.C. sniper case. Wasn't that inconvenient? Maybe the answer to the mystery is as simple as the fact that the Ray's FBI just didn't want to look too closely at the suspect who had wrecked the White House's narrative. Spot on in that op-ed. Yep. No one in the FBI will ever be held accountable for their inaction in this case. It just doesn't happen. Yep. 100%. 100%. No, the infamous... Well, guys, I know. I've told you this from the beginning. What did I say? What did I tell you all? You all asked me to go and cover the events on January 6th. I didn't want to go. It was January. It was cold. I wasn't that interested. I didn't know Trump was going to speak until the night before. And so you're like, can you go? Can you go? And I went and I drove, and the traffic was a parking lot going to D.C. So I doubled back south of Frederick, turned back, went and cut off and went over to the Potomac and drove down that back road. By the way, there were speed traps there. Good thing I don't speed. A couple times cops just waited to give tickets out on was it a Sunday? I can't remember. It was a Sunday morning. Anyway, yeah, I drove down and finally made it, and I parked down on one of the military bases in town. I walked the 2 miles from there, almost 2 miles, to the Capitol or to the mall. And then I got there exactly at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I started covering. And then I couldn't send any data. I was going to live stream, but I was not a priority customer, so I couldn't live stream. Unlike some of the folks they set up, conservatives, they let them stream so they could try to get them and punish them. But I wasn't allowed to stream, so I just made video. I had my GoPro, I had my backup phone, I had my charger, and I just went for it. And I walked around to cover the whole thing. And then I was out right in front of the steps. I showed you the video. I mean, I'm like 6 feet away from where the cops are, and people are trying to cause trouble. And I'm like pointing out, I'm like, what's going on? Look at this black guy over here. He's trying to get the crowd incited. Look at these other guys over here. And then in one of the videos, you can hear me saying that, this is not what we do. We respect law enforcement. These people need to stop it. Who are these people? They're not Trump supporters. They're not patriots. Anyway, when I left there that day, I walked back before they broke into the Capitol building and raided the steps. When I left about what was it? What time did I leave? 2:30? 2:25. I left about 2:25. No one had gone past the barriers, and they weren't up all of the steps, and they hadn't gone to the building. So I walked back to my car, which took some time to get there. I didn't have this hip problem then. I got back to the car, and it was freezing, so I set my phone up on the dash in the car, and I was about to go live because I had data. I could stream again because it was far enough away to a different tower. And I got a text message saying that there would be, a curfew in D.C. declared at 6 p.m. or something like that. So I'm like, I better get out of here because 500,000 people are going to try to leave leave the city. So I got out, and as I was leaving, you should have seen like a bat out of hell. State troopers, Loudoun County sheriffs, and everyone, every cop car you can imagine, streaming, driving like 80 miles an hour, coming across the bridges to get into D.C. It was like something out of a freaking movie, And then I drove up the GW Parkway almost by myself. There was no one on it. No one was going that way. I drove up, and then my phone sits in a cradle in my car, where the cup holder is, and it just kept lighting up and lighting up and lighting up. And I'm like, I glanced over and I saw something from Ronaldo popped up. So I pulled over south of Frederick, and I looked at it, and it was a message from Ronaldo. And he's like, hey, are you watching Trump? He's on Twitter right now telling people to go home. They've gone in the Capitol building, and it's chaos. I'm like, what? So I looked at what's going on, and I saw the footage, and I'm like, whoa. And Ronaldo and I talked briefly, if I recall correctly. I think we talked on the phone for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, that's not what happened. I was just there. So I went to Frederick, and I topped off my vehicle at the petrol station at Costco. And then I sat in the Costco parking lot, and I put my phone on with a good signal, and I went live. That video is still on my original channel. It's still there. Still there. And so I went live, and I said, this is BS. I used a lot of profanity. I said, this was a false flag operation. I saw people intentionally trying to incite the crowd. There were 350, 500,000 people on the mall when I left, and they were peaceful. They weren't bothering anybody. They didn't rush any steps. No one attacked any police. There were people trying to do that, but it was a small number of people, and this is entirely false flag. And then what I'm saying about all that is I have video footage. I have photographs of people who were trying to incite the crowd. I have timestamps on it. I have the original document, or not document, original digital stuff. As a former counterintelligence agent, a federal law enforcement official, badge and credential, decades of experience, I contacted the FBI on their website they created to report people were misbehaving that day before it turned into a witch hunt for January 6ers. And I said, hey, I've got information of people that tried to do this. Well, the FBI never contacted me. To be fair, they had tens of thousands of people send them stuff, but nothing I had showed people on the steps or going in the building. So they didn't want it, because it didn't suit their narrative. And they never pursued the people who were trying to cause trouble. So I know very well that the FBI didn't care to investigate the stuff that didn't fit the narrative. Yep. So, history was made. January 6th, I was there at the Capitol building as a journalist. Yep. For those, okay, President Trump has good hair. Well, he better know the price of a Tomahawk cruise missile as a chairman of Joint Chiefs Staff. Because people don't understand, Mush. They don't understand what's happening. That's the thing. So, newer model cars, we know where you are. We can track every movement, whether you want us to know or not. Cell phones, we can piece together where you're at. In most states now, because of the auto license plate photographing, we can track your movements on interstates and toll roads, which can help us piece together where you've been. And it takes very little to get a warrant to do that. And more disturbingly, we've got people with license plates readers. It's becoming a surveillance state, just like the United Kingdom. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. That many phones belong to security services. What about the claims that there were multiple FBI in the crowd trying to incite? Well, there were people in the crowd trying to incite, Daniel. I don't know who they were, and I never claimed who they were. But I did say that there clearly are people trying a false flag operation here. Remember all the little marches of the guys in perfect little dress uniform? They look like they're right out of Quantico. Supposedly white supremacist groups, and they get arrested, all peacefully being arrested, white supremacist groups. Remember all those little false flag operations that the FBI was doing during the Biden administration, trying to pretend that white people are racist? We're looking at Somali's abuse autistic program. It might be good to test him for autism. Mark Miller seems like a thoroughly unimpressive person. I don't understand how people like him can find themselves such. I'll tell you how, faithful farmer. I was a senior officer in the U.S. military. I'll tell you exactly how. Exactly how. First off, if you're a graduate of West Point, your chances of becoming general are exponentially larger, just because the old boys club. Yep. So that's the first thing. Second thing is if you're combat arms, your chances of becoming a general officer are exponentially larger because you're combat arms. There's a bias towards combat arms. You don't have to have excellence. Third, you just have to impress someone or ride someone's coattails. Colin Powell was someone I respected for a long time until he showed his true colors as Secretary of State. But as an officer, he rode the Bush administration's coattails. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel. He was promoted to colonel. He was promoted to brigadier general, from brigadier general to major general to lieutenant general to full general, like that. He went over 34 people, jumped him the queue. Why? Because the Bush administration liked him, and they're the ones who decide. Same thing with Milley. Somebody liked him for whatever reason. Maybe he was a yes man. I don't know. But yeah, General Milley did not impress me at all. The current chairman of Joint Chiefs Staff, General Kane from the Air Force, he impresses me. Yep. 5 years to delete or mask his digital footprint. That's right, he had 5 years to cover it up, but it sounds like he wasn't that bright. Oh, from the Strawn meet and greet. Gotcha. Okay, Sandra, that's why I asked, because I confused. I also, the lady who writes those kids' books, I read her books. Yeah, if it was delivery bearer, their writ of habeas corpus was suspended for January 6th. Exactly. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and that's what Lincoln did during the Civil War. It's all about supporting the narrative and suppressing anything that opposed the narratives. Yep. 250 plus FBI agents. Probably. There should have been a lot of FBI. There should have been Capitol Police, a lot more Capitol Police. There should have been D.C. National Guard there. Trump offered 20,000 guardsmen. They refused. And that wasn't on January 5th. He offered it on January 2nd and 3rd. U.S. is indeed implementing a 1% federal excise tax on certain international remittance transfers starting January 1st as part of the Big Beautiful Bill. Well, that sucks. Is that money going out or money coming in? That's crap. That is crap. Huh. That's based. Indians, Mexicans send unbelievable amount of money. Yeah, that's true. Hey there, Francois. Francois Fenter, welcome as a team member. Appreciate it. Thanks for the chat this morning. Hectic, okay. Seems to me the FBI has been corrupt for some time. Yes. That's why I've called them the Federal Bureau of Incompetence, the FBI. A lot of lobbyists, yep. And they're suddenly your friend. When people start knocking your door and you're your friend, you have to be suspicious. No, Ronell, good thing I left. I might have been arrested. No, I never went up on the steps. That's not allowed. The steps had barriers, and the police were there. Therefore, to me, that's where you're not allowed to proceed. So I would never went near that. Yep. Yep. Robert Colonel knew about the false flag operation. I have video of the false flag operation unfolding. Yep. 220 likes. I got 222. Okay, one hand washes the other. Okay, could have been a lot worse. Not pre-79 vehicles. Yeah, okay. You got one of pre-79 vehicles, Holden? I don't. I should reply to you, though, Chris. You have a very respectable military career and were involved in the intelligence community. Yes, faithful farmer. So I worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency, where I wrote for the President of the United States. I wrote 1,200 intelligence products in 34 months. That doesn't mean anything. They could all have been crap, but they weren't. They were all very good. There was a reason I was there. I went simply as an analyst, wound up being a section chief and then a deputy branch chief as a major. And then I worked at the National Security Agency before that, where I was chief of staff of a $3 billion program as a major, and that's a colonel's job. Yeah, I worked in Army intelligence for years, yep. I was a counterintelligence agent, a signals intelligence officer, a tactical intelligence officer, strategic intelligence officer. Yep. The higher your eyes, the more you have to play the political game. That's where a lot of great people fall away. Well, Dirk Kutsia, I wasn't a general. But to be fair, there's no general officer position in my career field. But if I'd been an ass kisser or sucking up to someone or impressed someone politically, I could have still been promoted, because general officers are exactly that, general officers. You don't have to have a career. You don't have to have a billet. They can promote you to a general officer billet, even though there's not one for your career field. And they'll just use in that career. So, yep, anyway. You ever come across Colonel Wilkerson? I know Colonel McGregor. He's gotten a lot of people criticizing him for his Ukraine analysis. I've heard some of his Ukraine analysis. I haven't agreed with it. Some of I have agreed with. So, money going out the USA. Well, that sucks, Arctic. That sucks. Francois wants to ask a question. What's your question, Francois? Michael Flynn wasn't wrong about insurrection. What insurrection did Michael Flynn talk about? You talking about by the government? Yeah. Gray Man, Open Source Intelligence is here. What's up? It is criminal silly season at the moment. 2 hijackings. Good Lord, Purple Turtle Tamer. Well, the Obama administration. Yeah, no, they were pretty nasty. So, was there. Did that one. That one. Blitzbox were really excited about their victory. They're chuffed, as South Africans like to say. They're chuffed. That's one I never got. Chuffed. Is it chafed? No, it's not chafed. It's chuffed. Anyway, yeah, they're pretty excited about it. So, there he is right there. MP Visser. Captain Impey Visser was teary-eyed as he called the Blue Hawks Cape Town Sevens win truly special. He came from behind a spirited second half against Argentina to defend their Sevens title at home. Blitzboks coach Philip Stamen, former Blitzbok, praised his side's unity and ability to overcome imperfections and cross over the finish line. Yep, they won 21-19. They were down throughout the game. Visser revealed that hard chats were said during their road to the final and knew that once they held possession, it was their game to lose. Stamen admitted it wasn't a complete performance by the Blitzbok with opportunities missed in the heat of the moment. Yeah, well, probably. But if they won, that's what matters in the end. Hi, Colonel. After we went to the medical and it shows that our case has been approved for relocating USA, but still need to do the orientation, will we still be able to go for the end of January? Well, you're asking me a question I couldn't possibly answer. I don't know your circumstance. I don't know when your orientation is scheduled for, where you're doing it, how you're doing it, if you're doing it by teams or whatever. Will you be able to go for the end of January? Well, I don't know. I don't know how many have been processed. Thousands and thousands of people. So you might be back in the queue. Maybe you're not in the back of the queue. I don't know. I don't know how I could possibly answer that question for you. I mean, I appreciate why you're asking it, but that's not a question that's possible for me. What I can tell you is that my analysis is that no one will be flying from the 15th of December until the 5th of January. I have anecdotal evidence from multiple sources now that in fact is a true analysis on my part. Why? Because it's the holidays and 70-75% of the staff won't be around. And as we confirmed today by Fonz, there are U.S. officials who take you to the airport, like I said all along. U.S. officials must adjudicate your case and process your case. There are U.S. officials who must greet you on this end. State Department and Homeland Security are on the ground when you arrive. And not one, but several people. If they're all on holiday, they can't be there, so nobody can come. So that said, also the deal that was reached in November was not a budget, it was a continuing resolution. The continuing resolution allows current spending to continue at the levels previously authorized. The government has until 30 January to have a bill in front of the president for a budget or a continuing resolution. I don't have good hope that that's going to happen. So there's a very real possibility that from about the 25th of January onward, we'll have another slowdown and nobody will be coming. So to answer your question, I couldn't possibly answer your question. I appreciate you asking the question, TGND09, but no one can answer that question except people working the program, and even they might not be able to answer it properly. If you apply to the refugee program, you are being blocked to get your passports. There's still a way around it. Well, how are you being blocked to get your passports, Francois Fenter? I'm not buying that for a second. As I've told many people before, if you're not getting progress from your local Home Affairs office, then go to one of the banks like FNB and apply online. They don't see you there. So do that. And if that doesn't suit your fancy, go find another Home Affairs office. You're not forced to apply for a Home Affairs office in your neighborhood. You can go elsewhere. Many people have done that. And, all these people were saying they couldn't get this, they couldn't get this, they couldn't get this. Early in the year, and we had people saying, no, go to this one over here. I'm making up the town. This isn't, I mean, I went to Fentersdorp, and I went to Brockpen, I went here, whatever. People went different places, and they got good service. Not every Home Affairs office is geared to punish South Africans. Some are actually efficient. So either go to a different one or go to one of the banks and do your process there. That's my recommendation. There's a way around it. No, there's no way around it. You must, okay, first off, Francois Fenter, not to insult you, but for everyone who thinks about this question, why are you asking a question about is there a way around passports? There's no way around passports. How do you get to America? Let me ask that question. Let me ask this question about how do you get to come to America? How is that? You board a plane. Where do you board a plane? In South Africa. Whose immigration do you have to pass through in order to leave South Africa? South Africans. Do you think South African immigration lets you walk up and go, "Hi, I'm Leon Schreiber," or well, they might let him through. I'm Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones. Yeah. So Mr. Bones shows up there, and I don't have a passport. They're not going to let you leave the country. They're not going to let you leave that country without a passport for them to scan. It's as simple as that. This has nothing to do with the U.S. program. It's not us. It's them. All right, so it's them. I don't know why. The South African authorities will force you to have a passport. Yeah, Christoph van Arde. In fact, the guy who damaged it, the The guy who damaged it fessed up. They went to the bar and told people, hey, look, we just broke the wall back there. We'll pay for it. So they've told us. In the meantime, someone took a piece of paper that's a schedule for the American football, for the Ravens, and they put it up on the wall, covering up. So nobody knows that there's a hole in the wall. But they've offered to fix it. Still going to have to be a disciplinary hearing on it for the conduct. I've reviewed the video. To me, it doesn't look like there was anything malicious intent. It's just that the guy was standing. There's two doors side by side. There was a woman who's standing outside the women's bathroom, looking back this way. A gentleman who came out of the men's room. They saw each other. They're chatting in the hallway. It's late at night, like 12:30 in the morning or something like that. They're chatting. Three guys come down the hallway to use the toilet. They come. That guy's standing there, and he's like, hey, and you can't hear them. There's no audio. We're not allowed to record audio. It's a wiretapping violation in Pennsylvania. We can only record the video as long as they have a sign up saying recording. So on the video, I can see the guy. I suspect, I get the impression, I say, hey, man, move. I got to go to the bathroom. And so he just kind of pushed him like this, not very hard. The guy probably had a few too many and was a little off balance, and he fell for it. And he went to reach for him, and then someone else went, whoa, like to reach for him, but he hit the wall. And it's cheap drywall. It was piss poor building, and people made it really, I don't want to say more because I'll probably get in trouble with the people in this town, but no. Passport Subies, the bug problem is getting a spot for the application, but you apply online, check first thing in the morning, and the spot's available, go, and 2 weeks later, there you go. We've been back and forth for over 4 months to get my wife's underbirds. She just got her normal birth certificate. Well, I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep, quids, over the birth certificates. I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over that because you need that for a green card not to get to America, to my knowledge, although I'm getting conflicting information, but I wouldn't lose sleep over it. There are lots of people that have gone without their birth certificates, and they had their passports. In America, if you have a passport, that's evidence you have a birth certificate, so no one requires a birth certificate here. The only time I ever needed my birth certificate ever was to get a Social Security card. That's it. But in America, that's not even the case. So, yeah, it sounds like it was an accident, but also it was behavior that shouldn't have happened. He should have just said, "Hey, could you move? I got to get in the toilet." Shoving somebody is not appropriate. So it won't be a big sanction. But yeah, didn't James Comey try to bug? Yeah, he did. Thank you, Colonel. I am set. A relative is getting frustrated with the process. Recommend he joins live, and I will ask. Well, I mean, why is your relative watching my channel for the last 10 months? That's my question, Francois. I mean, look, I got to get some payback in the form of people watching the program, and the numbers being up. Otherwise, it just gets boring and it gets frustrating. I put a lot of energy in this. No worries, TGND09. Passport is one's international ID. Essentially, yeah, it does become international ID in some respects. I'm glad you're taking care of Francois. James, okay. Monday morning, all worked up over cock again. Exactly. See, the Sunday night refugees are calm. Exactly. Look, for the next few years, the Democrats are going to unnecessarily try to shut down government twice a year. Yep. Mariki James, thank you for your membership. Look at that. Afrikaans and English. James and Mariki. Thank you for joining us. Benjamin Netanyahu says he won't offer to quit politics in exchange for a pardon. At a joint press conference with German Chancellor, Premier abruptly dismissed the idea of walking away from public life, also rules out the plea bargain, says voters will decide his future. There you go. Do you intend to retire from public life if you receive a pardon? No. Are you open to plea bargain? No. Then he went on. And the last thing that I will say, they're very eager. They're very concerned with my future. They want to make sure that how shall I say this? They're concerned for my future. Well, so are the voters, and they'll decide, obviously. Netanyahu, they're desperate to get him out of there. Desperate to get him out. Well, the United States has deported more Iranians. The plane carrying 50 Iranians and other deportees took off from Arizona on Sunday under a deal the Trump administration reached with Iran 2 months ago. The plane carrying 50 Iranian citizens as well as deportees from Arab countries and Russia departed from an airport in Mesa and will make stops in Egypt and Kuwait. Wow. The U.S. chartered deportation flight to Iran was the second of its kind after the first took off in September after months of negotiations. Iran and the United States have not had diplomatic relations since the Islamic Revolution in 1979. And for decades, the United States has provided refuge to Iranian dissidents, religious and ethnic minorities, members of the LGBTQ community, and others fleeing persecution in their homeland. But as part of Trump's administration's pursuit of mass deportations, it reached a deal with Tehran to coordinate the return of Iranian citizens facing deportation, currently estimated at 2,000, and send them on chartered planes to Tehran. In the past, we've used commercial flights. There you go. So we're getting rid of dirtbag Iranians who commit crimes here. Japan is frustrated at the Trump administration over being quiet about China. Tokyo asked the U.S. to be more vocal in its support after Beijing reacted furiously to Prime Minister's comments about Taiwan. Japan has urged the U.S. to give Prime Minister Sanae Takichi more public support, and I agree. I think the Trump administration should give the Japanese Prime Minister more support and back Japan. They are close allies after they bombed us 84 years ago and drew us into World War II. They're now our close allies. The Louvre. Water leaks damage hundreds of historic books. This looks like a place that's run by incompetence. Compounding embarrassment over the state of the Louvre's security system, upkeep, and bureaucracy are now in the spotlight in the wake of foreseeable water leak that damaged hundreds of historically important books. Deputy Administrator Francois Steinbock, that doesn't sound very French, or Francis Steinbock, downplayed leak discovered on November 26, saying that 300 to 400 works from the 19th and 20th centuries have been damaged. They said the damaged books will be dried, sent to a bookbinder, restored, and then returned to shelves. Yeah, you can't restore the pages. It doesn't work that way. Damage is damage. Border czar Tom Holman says that 62,000 children smuggled into this country under the Biden regime have been rescued. Wow. Some were in sex trafficking, others were subjected to forced labor or were abused. White House border czar Tom Holman on December 7th said that 60,000 children who were illegally smuggled in the United States have been located by the Trump administration, and that some were rescued from dire situations, including sex trafficking and forced labor. In an interview with Fox News on December 7th, he said the previous administration lost track of 300,000 children who were smuggled into the U.S., saying some of these children were released to unvetted sponsors. Since President Trump took power in January, 62,000 were taken into the United States, have been found as of December 5th. Holman said many of them are in sex trafficking. Holman said that Trump was committed to doing everything possible to find every one of these children. He did not provide details. Remember when Michelle Obama, my Belle Obama, said, bring back our girls, the Chibok girls? Never happened. Never happened. Of course, they lost interest because it was just a bumper sticker, just an attention-seeking effort by a scumbag, balloon-sized frickin' Michelle, my Belle Obama. Well, Donald Trump became president, and 300,000 children that were led into sex trafficking and forced labor in this country by the corrupt Biden regime that was involved in human trafficking and sex slavery and slavery, the Biden regime culpable in that. The Trump has been in office for 10 months, and 62,000 of those 300,000 children have been located and have been rescued by the U.S. government. Rescued. Meanwhile, the scumbags of the Democratic Party are focused on idiotic things like, well, did the narco-terrorist wave and try to surrender before they were blown up a second time? Seriously? 300,000 children. That means that the Trump administration has removed 62,000 off the books. That means 238,000 are still unaccounted for. Wow. Wow. Well, the deadline is approaching for the Unaffordable Care Act subsidies, and people are going to be paying a lot more for their health insurance. Congress is weighing extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies while millions of Americans are unsure what their insurance costs will be next year. This week, I know what mine is. I just paid my entire annual insurance bill for my health care. Something that was supposed to be free. Something that was supposed to be free. I paid for my health insurance. Just took care of it. Just paid the whole bill for the year. It has to be paid by January. It's open season to change your plan. I didn't change my plan. I simply went ahead and paid the whole hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for something that's supposed to be free. Big Mike. Yeah, this week the Senate is set to vote on health care subsidies for looming deadline. 24 million Americans use the Unaffordable Care Act marketplaces for their health insurance, and they need to pick a plan by December 15th. But those shoppers right now are caught in limbo, not knowing what they're going to pay. Amy Jackson from Butler, Missouri is one of them. She spoke to NPR's Selena Simmons about her health insurance. Right now, it's close to $300. However, if you don't count the tax credit, it goes to $1,250. So let me tell you something very quickly here. This woman who's working pays $300 a year for health insurance. Do you know what I pay for that? Significantly more. I'm a combat veteran. I'm an American veteran with 36 and a half years of service. I sacrificed a lot for this country, and I was supposed to get free health care for myself and my family members the rest of my life. I have to pay insurance, which is well in excess of that. So she's going to have to pay the full cost for insurance. It's going to be $1,200. Hey, sweetheart, too bad. Too bad. This is how we treat our veterans. I have to pay for health insurance. 36 and a half years of my life. Supposed to get free health care. And even if I was supposed to get free health care, I have to pay 3 times what she pays for health insurance. And she's complaining because she's going to have to pay more. Why is that fair? Why is that fair? It's not fair. Unbelievable. Because this is the health insurance plan they negotiate on behalf of veterans. They screw us over. But to be fair, I pay a lot less than most Americans. But she gets over because we, the taxpayer, pay to subsidize her health insurance. And if you don't count the tax rate, it goes to $1,250. So she's going to have to pay an extra $950. So they asked her, do you have an extra $1,000 a month? No, I really don't. Jeez. And the reason why it costs that much is because they created this system which drove up healthcare costs. It didn't cost that much before. So shocking, 60,000. How sad is that? Well, that's 62,000 they found. There's another 238,000 missing. Why is the Senate if they don't appreciate the U.S.? Yep. First, the Louvre doesn't invest in security, and now leaky roof. The French are running out of cash. Well, the French is just a mess. Japan should buy U.S. Treasury notes. They do. They buy lots of them. No one in the press is giving the Trump administration credit for this. Nope, none. Question is, what are we expecting to change in South Africa? Are we still going to be having the same discussion 5 years down the road? Do you honestly believe we won't? Well, Buster, I think that the country is headed off a cliff face. I mean, there you go. What do you want to know? It's headed towards chaos and gangsterism. Dirk says, how does the veteran medical system work? Would expected there are veteran hospitals which service the military free. Okay, let me explain. So there's a difference between a veteran and a retiree. A retiree is a veteran by default, but retirees and veterans are different. So the deal was, if you retire from military service, you were supposed to get free medical care for life for yourself and your family members, provided there was a military medical facility nearby. Otherwise, you had to pay some insurance rate. Well, I have a military medical facility nearby, but I still have to pay insurance, and I still have to pay for, I'm not paying for medications the times I need them, but I have to go to the pharmacy there. I can't go somewhere else. I go somewhere else, I pay a copay. Okay, so the way it works is this. If you are an honorably discharged veteran, you are eligible for VA, Veterans Administration hospital care and clinic care if you have a service-related injury. Now, if you don't have a service-related injury or disability, then you're eligible for care, but you have to bring your own insurance. So the VA hospitals will treat any veteran, honorably discharged, any veteran. If you don't have a disability rating from the VA, then you have to pay outright or you have to have insurance, but you're allowed to use the facilities. Does that make sense? So every veteran can use a VA facility. You enroll in VA medical care, and how you pay for it determines. Okay, there's different levels. So that's the first thing. Now, if you are a veteran who have a service-related disability, like say you have what's a good example here? You have a prosthetic. Your hand was damaged in combat or something like that. So you have a rating, say it's 10% for your hand. All right. So any care related to your hand or the hand causes other problems, you get free care for life from the VA. And but anybody at 50% disability or higher gets free medical care from the VA. But that doesn't include dental. Unless you were like shot in the mouth or something like that, you don't get dental, and your eye care isn't covered either, I don't think. But health otherwise. So I'm 50% or more disabled. So technically, I can receive free care from the VA. But the VA means I have to change my doctor and go to someone else instead of the military clinic. And there are other reasons why I'm keeping it. But in a few years down the road, I will switch to the Veterans Administration because I get free care there. Everything's free. I don't have to pay for anything. But I have to go to their places. Now, President Trump created something, or Obama did, and it came into effect when Trump became president, called VA Choice. So something like that. So I could go to a doctor of my choice, and they have to pay for it. But it's not as simple as that. So if you're over 50% disability rating, you get free care. Anything below that, you get free care for the service-related injury if you get a rating for it, a disability rating. And that's how VA medical care works. For veterans and retirees who want to use military facilities or health care, you have different health care, options, and none of them are great. They're better than most people, but they're not great. So does that help explain it? Thankful for them being saved. Did not realize it was so bad in this fraction of the time. Yeah, exactly. In just 10 months, they've saved 62,000 of these children who've disappeared because the Biden criminal human trafficking regime brought 300,000 children in this country. And just what kind of life are they going to have growing up being the objects of perverts? All right, see you, Sharky Mus. So Trump hosted the Kennedy Center Awards. There you go. Several prominent figures, including Sylvester Stallone and Kiss and Gloria Gaynor, were seen on the red carpet. There you go. President Trump and First Lady Melania on Sunday arrived at Kennedy Center honor ceremony for what is said to be the first such event hosted by a U.S. president. The annual event has honored celebrities and their influence in American culture and art since 1978. This year, the ceremony was set to honor actor Sylvester Stallone for the Rocky and Rambo series, in which he played the titular characters. Gloria Gaynor for her song "I Will Survive," the rock band Kiss, country music singer George Strait, and Tony Award-winning actor Michael Crawford. This is a group that is really unique, Trump told reporters. Over the years I've been watching, you've had some wonderful honoraries, but I think this is really very much unparalleled. The program will air until December 23rd. Trump announced that he had agreed to host the show in August, the first time a president will have hosted the show. In the past, it's been hosted by celebrities such as Stephen Colbert, Queen Latifah, Gloria Estefan, David Letterman, and Walter Cronkite. During a State Department dinner for the honorees on Saturday, Trump said that he would be the first president to host the program at the request of a certain network. The broadcast will be available to stream on CBS and Paramount. Well, I'm guessing CBS asked him to do it. It's going to be something that I believe, and I'm going to make a prediction. This will be the highest rated show that they've ever done, and they've gotten some pretty good ratings, but there's nothing like what's going to happen. Well, I'll be watching it. So, yep, it will be available to stream on CBS on December 23rd. So I'll be watching that. Remind me, folks, don't let me forget. I'll watch that Kennedy Center Honors on the 23rd. Pretty cool. So CBS, whom he sued, asked him to do it. Yikes. Sorry, I just woke up. Did you see a BBC on white genocide? No, I didn't. What's the BBC video? BBC. Nothing here. Oh, white South Africans divine U.S. refugee offer. That's different. That's not white genocide. That was 23 minutes ago. No. Nothing here. I'll go to BBC. Video. Australia, Hawaii, nightclub. Nope. I see nothing here. But this was published a short while ago. This is 23 minutes ago. White South Africans divided on U.S. refugee, according to Claire Mawisa. She's with BBC in the Free State. The 4-meter-high electrical steel fence is capped with spikes. Creek open as Martinez, a farmer, drives through in his pickup. Cameras positioned at the entrance track his every move. It feels like a prison, he says. The gates clank shut behind him. If they want to come and kill us, they can. At least it will take them time to get to me. Fear of being attacked is very real for the white Afrikaner who manages the farm with his wife and 2 young daughters. He did not want us to use his full name. His grandfather and his wife's grandfather were both murdered in farm attacks, and he lives a 2-hour drive from where the body of 20-year-old farm manager Brendan Horner was discovered 5 years ago, tied to a pole with a rope around his neck. Yep, and in February they applied for refugee status in the U.S. I'm prepared to do that to get a better life for my wife and children. It's estimated thousands of Afrikaners who are mostly white descendants of early European settlers have begun the lengthy process of applying for a refugee visa in the U.S. That is okay. I got to say that this is news. It is estimated that thousands of Afrikaners, true statement, who are mostly white descendants of early European settlers, a true statement. There's Khoisan and other stuff in there, have begun the lengthy process of applying for refugee status in the U.S. refugee status since Trump announced in earlier February. Although the figures have been made public, that is awesome. Despite announcing in October the U.S. would reduce its yearly intake of refugees from 125,000 to 7,005, Trump has made the resettlement of Afrikaners a priority. For him, it's a way out. I will give my whole life just so that my wife and kids can be safe. Living in fear, nobody deserves a life like that. So, black farmers are also victims. True statement, and I also say that. On the outskirts of Vicksburg, a town at the foot of the Free Mountains in Piriani Mountain, Tabo Makopo has a small farm of 237 acres, 96 hectares, where he tends sheep and cattle. Like Martinez, the 45-year-old says farm attacks are his biggest problem. They're young men, they're armed and dangerous. Whether they will lose their life or take years, they're going to take the livestock. He believes all farmers in the province, regardless of race, are at risk of attack. It's all of us. I could be attacked today. It could happen to any of us. That's true. Police response rates reports of crime are notoriously low, something the police here acknowledge but have said publicly that they're working on. No, they're not. Yep. Many farmers like Morgan Barrett, who's white, employ their own security guards if they can afford it. He owns a 2,000-acre farm. It's been his family for 6 generations. Yep. I don't buy that. What he says. Like Tabo, he doesn't believe that he's targeted because of the color of his skin. I don't buy that narrative that in this area the attacks are against whites only. If they thought that, the black guy at 20,000 rand sitting in a safe, they'd attack him just as quickly. He asked about what he thinks about people claiming there's a white genocide in South Africa. He says he thinks they have no real understanding what genocide is. I think that he doesn't have an understanding what genocide is. He said what happened in Rwanda is genocide. What's happening to white farmers is very bad, but I don't think you can call it genocide. I'm not talking about farmers. It's not a genocide of farmers. Trump has repeatedly the widely disputed claims that there is genocide against white farmers, while South African-born billionaire Elon Musk has accused South African politicians of actively promoting a genocide. This is a very objective news story from the BBC. I'm shocked. Senzom Kuna said there were 18 farmers, 16 of the victims were black, while 2 were white. But that's a lie. That's a lie. We know that that's untrue. Systemic racial persecution is something black people, who make up more than 8% of the population, face for decades. True, but white people face it now for 31 years. So she gave a long history of apartheid, but that's not really germane here. And she references data that's no longer, 8 years old, the data she's referencing. And she gets it correct, though. 72% of private farmland is still in white hands, according to the government's 2017 land audit. Despite white people make up just 7.3% of the population. But in 2017, they made up 9% of the population. And those figures are no longer true. Many farms have changed hands since then and no longer in possession of white South Africans. Yep. And the land reform program based on willing buyers selling has hardly moved the dial at all. That's because the government has sat on 4 million plus hectares of land. Anyway, so it's a mostly accurate report. In Makweli Township, the outskirts of Vicksburg, where black South Africans were forcibly relocated during apartheid, Nsabeng Ntamakana owns a small general store. On January 15th this year, was a robbery while her husband, Tambane Nkbongo, was closing up. He managed to run to a neighbor's house, but his attackers threatened to kill them if they opened the door. They found his body on the ground outside. He had bullets everywhere and stab wounds. They had stabbed him and hit him with rocks. No one was arrested for his murder. She said she's now the sole provider for her 4 children. The kids ask, "Mama, who killed Dad?" And you don't know what to say. 2 hours drive from Vicksburg, Martin and his family have just found out their refugee application in the U.S. has been successful. They're busy planning the big move, waiting to hear when their flights will be allocated. He maintains white people being persecuted in South Africa. A lot of people believe that it's a political thing to get rid of us as white farmers or white people in this country so they can have this land for themselves, this place for themselves. I'm really grateful to be getting away from this feeling this year of fear. I'm thankful to Almighty God for answering our prayers. Pretty good story, actually. Not bad. If you look for it, this is what it looks like. It's mostly accurate. So there he is. I haven't heard from Martinez. Maybe Martinez has been one of my viewers. I don't know. But his application's been approved. At least he believes it's been approved. So there you go. So, but I can't find a video on the BBC. That's all I can find. Anyway. Extremely sad about the children, as many of them can't be saved because they're already in a better place. Yeah. Just woke up. Jared Vessels. No, I didn't find a video. Okay, why do you suppose the sanctions were lifted on the Bosnian Serbs separatist leader? I have no idea why they were lifted. I also have no idea why Trump, gave a pardon to this guy who was a drug dealer president in Latin America. I don't understand that either. Anti applaud decrease in farmers. What they don't say is the reasons for this increased private security groups. Exactly. Oh, on YouTube. Thank you. Extremely frustrating listening to people who don't understand genocide as a process, not a single event. Exactly. Well before the mass killings were wanted to happen, one group would call the other cockroaches over national media and many other. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. They call for the killing. Now, that's the problem. Like I said, so let me just go back to what I said at the beginning. So if we give refugee status to gays in Syria, because their life is threatened. If we wait until they start murdering gays by dropping them off the roof when they discover they're gay, it's too late. They're dead. So, the conditions are there to eliminate people. Yep. And the fact that the government hasn't found it abhorrent, even after previously declaring it unconstitutional and criminal to sing Kill the Boer, and now they allow it, shows that this is a very dangerous, slippery slope. 100%. That's the reality here, folks. That's the reality. So let me see if anything's happened, because it's morning time in South Africa. Who knows what's happened there? It's now after midnight here. I've only received 2 emails after midnight. That's pretty slow. Usually I've got about 40 by now. Drugs, guns, and cuffs. Stelly's doctor arrested while facing probe for opioid abuse. Okay. I didn't know him. Julius Mkwanazi distanced himself from fundamental murder. Really? Secession. What's secession? Ask Fikine Mapula as the NGC kicks off. John Steenhuisen. This is an opinion. The GNU's 18-month review. The glass half full. I don't think it's even half full. So, okay. So here's an op-ed by John Steenhuisen. Okay. I'm going to read this to you. You guys ready for this? Okay. Hang on a second there. Copy. Okay, let's just put it here. We'll do this. Okay, paste and go. So this is an op-ed in the News 24 by John Steenhuisen. That's where it is. It just got published, 2 hours ago. So this just got published. He's in a full blitz to rescue his reputation. Okay? So this isn't me. This, again, I'm reading someone else. I'm reading John Steenhuisen. So let's see what John Boy has got to say. Sue Ellen? Yes, John Boy. Good night. Good night, John Boy. All right, so John Steenhuisen reflects on the last 18 months of the government and national unity, writing that while the road hasn't been easy, the GNU is learning to focus on strategic matters that will generate long-term systemic change. Why do you have to learn? Why do you not know already? This is disturbing. The 18-month anniversary of the government and national unity offers an opportunity to ask some important questions. Is the GNU making a difference when it comes to governance and policy? Has growth improved? Where were the naysayers correct in believing that the Democratic Alliance would have too few ministers to make a positive impact, and that populist alliance would eventually sweep us away? The answer? So far, so good. South Africa has been blessed with good news over the past few weeks. Really? What is that? For the first time in years, the country has once more got a good story to tell. What is that? The Financial Action Task Force has taken South Africa off the gray list. When the country was placed on this list because it no longer satisfied the task force that it was preventing illicit financial flows, it was a blow to national prestige and the confidence of investors and lenders. But here's the reality. This has been going on for decades. South Africa is a terrorist financing hub, and it is also a money laundering hub, and that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. So you can trumpet that from the top of the ceiling there, John Steenhuisen, but it hasn't changed. You haven't stopped the illicit flows. You're simply reporting them now, which you weren't doing before. More good news came when the government revenue enjoyed a windfall as a result of the improvement of the gold price in recent months, relieving budgetary pressure. By how much? How much more money did you get? And what was the windfall from? Taxes? Royalties? You're the 10th largest gold producer in the world. How much more money could you have made from gold, even though the price is at record levels? And the medium-term budget policy statement finally had good news for the country, with growth projected 1.8% annually between 2026 and 2028. Although we need to do a lot better than this, it's a marked improvement in anemic growth under 1% in recent years. I don't buy that for a second. The medium-term budget policy statement doesn't take into account 30% tariffs to the United States, your most important trading partner, your second largest trading partner. It doesn't account for that. So that 1.8% is a fantasy, and 1.8% is a joke. It's less than inflation. It's barely above population growth. You need 8.5% year sustained growth for a decade or more just to catch up with the poverty you have now. So I'm sorry, John Steenhuisen, that's not good news. The budget deficit is projected to decrease from 4.7% to 2.9%. Well, that's also based on fuzzy math. This has given the government elbow room to allocate $943 billion over 3 years to start addressing our infrastructure crisis by improving our ability to generate energy, build roads, and ensure water provision. Yeah, that's just all fuzzy math. Markets have responded positively to this good news. The rand has reached its best level against the U.S. in over a year. Well, if you think that the success of South Africa's economy is based on the value of the rand exclusively, then you're really not understanding macroeconomics. This didn't happen by accident. It happened because voters sent a strong message. Really? What was the strong message? We don't want to vote. 38% of people showed up to vote. 38%. Eligible people. Not registered, eligible. South Africa's leaders must work together to turn the country around. Yeah, so what? We know that. It's a message we took to heart, joining the GNU to make a difference in the way South Africa is governed. The DA has been fighting to get government to acknowledge that we're in a crisis and that we need to address our financial problems seriously. And we've been fighting for the government to turn its attention to growing the economy so that we start addressing the country's appalling jobs crisis. Let's go back to the disastrous budgeting process earlier this year. The ANC tried to ignore its GNU partners and push through a VAT increase that would have made South Africans poorer and strangled businesses, leading to more job losses. Yes, and all the other actors are the reason why it didn't pass. We used our leverage to change that. No, you didn't. You take credit for it. We got that VAT increase reduced to almost nothing and got the government to commit to more reasonable budgeting. Well, you can claim that all you want, John Steenhuisen. It's simply, it runs contrary to the facts. I'm very proud of the role the DA's Deputy Minister of Finance, Asher Surapan, has played in improved outlook and championing the reforms we need to transport, energy, and water. We made a difference in government in many other ways. DA ministers have led the way, getting their portfolios to focus on financially sound spending, policies that will make a difference. I'm extremely proud of the Minister of Agriculture and understand that I have, to be proud of the Minister, and that I have a massive responsibility to help South Africa's determined, hardworking farmers produce more, export more, and create more jobs. But you don't care about foot and mouth disease. Not really. I've signed agreements with China that will open this huge market, South African farm produce. The agreement opens this 1.4 billion strong Chinese market for the first time to 5 types of South African stone fruit, namely apricots, peaches, nectarines, plums, and prunes. It's also the first instance where China has negotiated access for multiple stone fruit types from a single country under one deal. Yes, but now you have 30% tariffs on your products, with the exception of oranges and citrus. But your wine still has it, your automobile parts. So you're proud of that? The Chinese aren't going to buy all that stuff. Again, of course, we have to work harder, not least in containing and rolling back the spread of foot and mouth disease, which has reached epidemic proportions on your watch. This is not the job of one ministry, but requires collaboration across several, including law enforcement, yes, including policing to prevent the movement of infected animals. Rather than allow ourselves to be thrown off course by posturing about environmentalism versus commercialism in farming, we've just unveiled a plan to vaccinate the entire national herd. A year after the outbreak began, a year later. We've made strides in education where Saviva Garuba has turned the department's attention to improving the quality, not just the quality of school leavers. And it's not just, what kind of bullshit is this? What kind of bullshit is that? Excuse me, John Steenhuisen. You say that you've improved the strides in education. Saviva Garuba has turned the department's attention to improving the quality. You just voted to not increase the educational standards from 30% pass rate to 50%. And you're trying to tell us you've improved education? Department-based education has reached 98% of its target for sanitation infrastructure, a milestone in its commitment to replacing unsafe facilities. Yes, and 90% of that was done before she became a minister. And so you are saying that it's an achievement that soon all South African schools will have flush toilets. That should have been the bare minimum. Schools shouldn't be built unless they have flush toilets and facilities. The turnaround in home affairs under Leon Schreiber has been massive. Yes, it is. Yeah, that is true. He's working to ensure their borders are safe. Fair point. There can be no question that none of these advances would have been made without the DA government. The only one that you said that makes any difference is Leon Schreiber. The alternative that we referred to as Doomsday Coalition between ANC, EFF, and MK would have ruined this country. Well, that was never going to happen, and you know it was never going to happen. So stop misleading people. By now, our currency would have been shredded. Borrowing would have gone through the roof. It has. You just borrowed $1.4 billion from the World Bank. What are you talking about borrowing going through the roof? It just went through the roof. 22 billion rand you just borrowed from the World Bank. I don't want to pretend the GNU has solved all South Africa's problems. Well, it hasn't solved any. We sit back and enjoy country. This is far from the case. We are learning to focus on strategic matters that will generate long-term systemic change. This is just bullshit. You sound like Cyril Ramaphosa. We cannot take our future for granted. We must fight for our right to We must work to turn the parts of government that are still struggling around. We've worked hard to get South Africa on the road to recovery. I can't read much more of this. It's annoying. My advice for committed South Africans who want to contribute rather than complain is contained in the words of Tende Biti, who was finance to tame Zimbabwe's inflation. The essence of country success is about taking responsibility, acting ethically, and asking each and every day, is there something I've done today which I'm proud? Oh, I'm sorry. I feel nauseated now. I feel nauseated. I'm sorry. And I'm not just piling on. I mean, that's just poppycock. There's only one thing he said in there that's true. The success of Leon Schreiber. That's it. The rest of it's just annoying. It's just bogus nonsense. I mean, I won't even make it's not even worth making a video about, you know? It's just, ugh. Oh, gosh. The DA don't want to be seen as pushing black people by increasing standards, so instead of forcing people to be better, we just let everyone be mediocre. Exactly. The DA is all about mediocrity. They claim they're for excellence. I'm sorry, Mr. Steenhuisen. What has the DA done to stop the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act? Nothing. In fact, you're all on board with the ANC, keeping standards low at 30%, and now taking power away from local school boards who know the needs of local students and giving it over to people at higher levels who have no clue and are just apparatchiks. They're party ideologues like, Panyazi Lesufi. Yeah, people like that. And also, you are forcing people to learn in school, going to first grade, never having spoken a word of English, to be forced to learn English so they'll be behind their peers who are English speakers. This is wrong. This is wrong. You've done nothing. You're implementing Bella. You are also implementing the Labor Relations Act, which racially discriminates against Indians, coloreds, and whites. In fact, no Indians can be in management in many cases. Imagine a farm where the farmer is forced to not be able to hire his son as a farm worker because it exceeds the racial quotas on his own property. This is just ridiculous and asinine. You've done nothing to stop that. You've had nothing to say about the black tax, fleecing companies of 3% of their after-tax profits to give to black entrepreneurs. That's racial. That's racism. It's vile. You have nothing to say about that publicly. What have you done about the National Health Insurance Initiative? Nothing. And most importantly, and most obnoxiously and most vomit-inducing of all these things, you screamed and stood you were against expropriation on compensation until you were part of the GNU, and now you're part and parcel of it. Your minister, Dion McPherson, runs around and says that nil compensation is compensation. He's the dumbest rock in the box in the DA. Without a doubt. Dean McPherson is a complete idiot. Yeah, I said that. You can tell him I said that. Anybody that stands up and says nil means you're going to be compensated is a fool. It's clear that the DA has been bought and paid for. What are your explanations? What are your explanations otherwise? This is nonsense. Leslie says, John is full of his own importance. His words and promises hold no value. He's been indoctrinated by NC playing with their rulebook. Exactly. Exactly. They gave us Lucifian Hauteng too, Arctic. Yep. He should steer clear of comments on finance occasion. He's setting himself. Well, yes, Garrett, you're right about that. He has no knowledge. He has no understanding of that. Now, I've never criticized him. I've actually defended him about, his lack of credentials at university level. But I mean, clearly he should have spent more time taking macroeconomic classes. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They don't want to be seen. Okay. The ANC is going to investigate the plot to remove Cyril. It's an obvious Cyril's a huge liability to the party, and now Mashatile wants to be president of the ANC before the party. Yeah, Mashatile. Yeah. Wife gets some functions orange restaurant. Thank you. Clouds are gathering. I forgot about super chats. Mad Max, I'm going to be quiet for this week. Our 16-year-old daughter had a knee injury, sports ACL. Oof. That sucks. Sorry to hear that, Mad Max. I'm sorry to see you going quiet too. I'm going to miss your super chats, but I'm really sorry for your daughter. But she's young. That'll heal. Gold valued at $42. What are you talking about? Gold valued at $42? You mean that's what they use as base to say how much the gold is worth? It's not the true story. Masha Thiele, give me a break. We're still after the most C model schools. They're here. Yep. Did mention the public schools budget decreased by... Yeah, there you go, Anton Mulder. There you go. That's also something else that the DA is implementing. Look, I mean, who does he think is believing this stuff? Nobody. Yeah, I'm not the sharpest knife, but I know nil means zero exactly. Well, it's an artificial rate. I mean, they don't buy gold at that rate. They don't sell gold at that rate. That's just what they use to value it. Excuse me. Anyway, guys, it has been 2 hours and 45 minutes. I had no idea that I've been on this long. I've just been busy chatting away, enjoying the conversation. Wow, it's insane. All right, 2 new members. I think it was new membership renewed. We got a little bit of super chat revenue. 185 people currently here. Good night, Charles. My wife also thank you for your help and information. We'll definitely do an in-person interview with you. Oh, that's cool. We got another one coming up on Thursday from Massachusetts. So that will mean we had North Carolina, Idaho, Iowa, Michigan, Colorado, and now Massachusetts, where people are being interviewed. Yep. Okay, cool beans, guys. All right. See you guys later. Don't forget, I've got an interview with Peter Rautenbach from the Harpysport Economic Forum later today about Harpysport and that story. Hopefully our viewer from Harpysport will show up. The guy that always comes to my meet and greets down there at Thundergun. All right. Zay Martinez, you have a good one too. Thanks for being here. Anton Mulder, everybody, thank you all so much. I'm going to go get some rest. I'm going to go catch up on what I fell asleep watching earlier. Hopefully I won't fall asleep again. I'll see you later in the day. Cheers, everybody. Be well. Good night. Thanks.